the Cinema Sessions for episode 3 of the series, the podcast. What would you call it, Seamus? So the Cinema Sessions with Keith and Seamus. Today what we're going to do is we're going to speak a little bit about the Devil's Advocate and hear our opinions and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, so for the uninitiated, this particular film, The Devil's Advocate. The Devil's Advocate is a supernatural horror film from 1997, directed by Taylor Hackford, written by Jonathan Lemkin and Tony Gilroy, based on a novel by Andrew Niederman. The film stars Keanu Reeves, Al Pacino, Charlize Theron, and Connie Nielsen. The plot concerns Reeves' Kevin Lomax, a hotshot lawyer from Florida, who is invited to work for a prestigious law firm in New York. While the perks of the job are undeniable, Lomax eventually comes to realize he has literally sold his soul to Pacino's devil. The film has a 7.5 rating on IMDb with a Metacritic critic score of 60% and an audience rating of 7.4, while on Rotten Tomatoes it has a critic score of 63% with an audience score of 80%. The film was a solid hit at the box office, taking in receipts of $153 million. And on a personal note, friends, the devil is a very real and potent force in this world, and only you can help stop him by donating every penny of your available income to this podcast. Details in the description box below. And a fair warning to all, spoilers galore from this point out.
Very much so. You probably should have said that before you read the synopsis.
Maybe should have, yeah. Well, to be fair, So before the film begins, I'm a little older than you, so I remember the marketing. And the film is marketed, and the trailer just is like Pacino's the devil.
I know what you mean, yeah.
Every and I even on the DVD, they have the TV spots for it. You see the shot of him, like where there's a shot in it where he dips a finger in the holy water.
And it's burning, yeah.
You know, that's not a lawyer. Maybe this does happen just because they're so evil.
Yeah,
These masters of the universe types. But it was sold on come and see Al Pacino be the devil.
Yeah.
So it's to say that that's a spoiler, and I will maybe go into my feelings later, but one could say the film's slightly predictable with some of the stuff that happens. But your experience may differ from mine. So what was your first experience with the film, Keith?
Believe it or not, it was on about 5 p.m. yesterday. It was the first time I saw it.
You'd never seen this before?
I've never seen it, but I've often heard about it. Obviously, in the world we live in, I've seen different clips of different parts of it. But in terms of start to finish, I'd never seen it. It's one of them films there. It's almost like when you bring it up or you say that you haven't seen it, they're like, you haven't seen it? It's like one of them type of films where it's like if someone says they haven't seen Pulp Fiction or something like that, and it's like, oh my God, like where have you been living? It's almost like one of them.
Well, it's funny you say. I really picked up on when you said start to finish. I had seen the film start to finish at a certain point in the past, but it's so long. It's quite long. It's like 2 hours.
2 hours 20 about, yeah.
I've seen huge chunks of it because it'd just be on TV. And now, as much as I wouldn't give the film 10 out of 10 or anything, it's got something going for it that keeps it very watchable. It's a very... it is kind of an unusual story for a Hollywood film, but it got the huge Hollywood treatment. Like, the film is clearly a studio product with all the backing that kind of go, all the kind of accoutrement, if that's not too pretentious, that goes with that. Like, they've really filmed in New York. It's got a huge, even at the time, Charlize Theron and Connie Nielsen were new, but obviously Reeves and Pacino, and then a lot of the supporting characters were kind of familiar faces.
Oh yeah, like Jeffrey Jones. He pops up in so many 90s films. And
we'll maybe get into
a bit of Jeffrey Jones later. Yeah.
some of the baggage that goes with him later. But I'm kind of surprised at this. It's when you say, like, I wouldn't put it in the same league as if someone hasn't seen Pulp Fiction.
Fair enough.
Let's sit down right now. Let's stop what we're doing and, take care of that. But yeah, this is kind of a film a lot of people have seen. And I think from the audience score, it's obviously a very well thought of film. I've always had kind of my issues with it, but we can maybe go into that as we go through.
So what we'll do is we'll just kind of start up. It kind of opens up. We're kind of flung into the middle of this court case, where Keanu Reeves, Kevin Lomax, is defending what very clearly is made obvious, a guilty man.
Yeah.
And made clear in the most grotesque way when you consider as the girl who's on the stand is telling her story in front of her of the accused, and he's massaging the bottom of the table. Yeah. Which I'm telling you now, if you wanted to hate someone, like that's the way to do it. Like, do you know what I mean? Because there's this poor girl, and you can't help but feel for her. Do you know what I mean? For any woman in that situation having to sit there and do that, but then this arsehole is just. And he loves it. He's getting off on it.
Yeah, and they picked a good actor for it.
Tim. I have his name somewhere. I
recognise him because he plays kind of a featured role in Face Off, which came out the same year.
The cop.
He's like the guy who helps Nicolas Cage, John Travolta's Nicolas Cage, or whatever, however you want to say it, escape from the prison in that.
That's right. He
was a sandwich with his wife and his sister. So he's well cast. It goes admirably. The film is very explicit. Like you see him, like he's touching the bottom of the table.
Like he's turned on, like,
and all that.
Do you know what I mean?
And it's out there, just visually, just telling you who this guy is. So solid filmmaking, and it starts off very well. I was taken on this time I watched it by how good, in a solid Hollywood kind of a way, the first half hour is. Yeah, I would say
definitely, because in terms of because even the introduction, because obviously you're thrown into the world of kind of a legal, almost legal kind of thriller kind of way, I'd say, because of just of how Keanu Reeves is playing the character of Kevin and how he's going at it. Do you know what I mean? And it's kind of a weird one because obviously you need to follow Kevin Lomax. He's the fella you're with throughout the story. But it's a bit of a punt because you know that the guy is guilty, and you can see Kevin Lomax is debating whether to. He pulls him aside and he says, "I know you're guilty," all this type of stuff. But he chooses to continue to defend him. So you're kind of like, as a viewer, you're like, "Oh, so you're a piece of shit too." Like,
yeah, it's interesting because I think that cuts both ways. I have to give the film credit. They never soften his character. Like, he is a prick and he's loyal to his wife, but he isn't conflicted about like flirting with women like Connie Nielsen. But then I am kind of reminded of a comment I saw about and I'll go on the record, I think it's fucking terrible. That film Caligula, the Malcolm McDowell.
Oh yeah.
There's a million versions of it, but I was reading a review and one of the versions starts off with the Bible verse, like, what does it profit a man to gain the world and lose his soul? Which kind of, is a fall from grace kind of thing. But then the reviewer pointed out the film starts off with him frolicking through the forest having sex with his sister. So it's not as if...
Yeah, exactly.
Where did he have to fall? So it is, I suppose, admirable in one way, but you could make a case of, well, this guy's a kind of an arsehole from the beginning. So, like, what does it mean to really lose your soul from where he begins?
Because we meet him, like the whole fall of man thing, which we'll definitely discuss further as the film progresses. But he's to anybody with a moral compass, or anybody who thinks they have a moral compass, would see that as, well, you're already morally decayed from the beginning. So there's no kind of fall, if you get me.
Yeah, it's like, to give it credit, you don't. Obviously, Reeves is a very charismatic. He's a very likable actor. He's surprisingly good in this.
This is one of the things that I wanted to really get into, is because in terms of a performance, because let's be honest, like, I love Keanu Reeves. You put a Keanu Reeves film in front of me, I will watch it and I will enjoy it, and I'll be happy that he made some money because he's a lovely bloke. Do you know what I mean? Whereas with a lot of his acting stuff can be, especially the 90s stuff, because I think now in the 2010s and to more modern day, he kind of knows what he can do and he fits into them roles quite well. But whereas he was really trying his hand at the whole thespian acting stuff, a lot of it falls flat and a lot of it is wooden. But him in this, I felt, was really just a really solid performance.
Yeah, I do think you could make a case that if they had, for want of, like, someone like a Daniel Day-Lewis type, or, for want of a better example, maybe the film as a whole would be more successful. But you cannot say he's bad.
No,
I really don't think. And he's certainly, in that opening courtroom scene, like, I had my memory, I won't say I remembered it, but I was like, oh, this is a big acting scene now. This is going to kind of flop. And it absolutely does not.
No, he holds together. Like.
Yeah, no, he's a movie star for a reason. Like, he can carry, a film like this. And, he does always seem like, I always liked him because he seems like the kind of guy who'd be like, oh, this guy's a prick, but sure, that's grand. I'll lean into that.
Yeah.
Like, he does not soften the character, and he doesn't... he can pull it off, like, relative... Again, does he absolutely hit the heights that, like... Jesus, who would have been a big guy at the time? Like, I don't know why he's coming to mind, but, like, Denzel Washington or something, like, who's a real actor's actor, do you know?
Yeah.
That would have been an interesting film. But anyway, but, like, he... Certainly the film... Like, because I think there's a kind of a reputation about, he has this accent, and he's, of course...
Which is a bit dodgy, because at times it goes from... real country bumpkin, the kind of more cosmopolitan, you know what I mean? And that's something that we'll get on to as we progress. Like, so obviously after the court scene, he gets the defendant off incorrectly, and he's all happy and they're celebrating. Yeah. Which again makes you go, well, how can you stand there and celebrate this? Like, do you know what I mean?
Another thing I was impressed with was they don't make his wife the voice of reason or the voice.
Oh yeah, she's leaning into it.
Yeah, she's leaning into it. She's doesn't mention. In fact, there's a character who's like
the press guy, isn't it?
Yeah, shouldn't you feel bad? And she's like, shut up.
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck off.
Yeah. And let's celebrate this. Like
again, yeah. Like I could imagine there might have been a studio note or something like, shouldn't she? And maybe you could make a case for if you're doing this by numbers or whatever. Shouldn't she be more of a moral conscience? And they don't. And they don't. It's what makes the film kind of compelling and interesting. But again, you could say, kind of is like. My main problem with it is it's obviously a morality tale, but I find it never quite gets traction on my brain of like, what are you getting at here?
See, the thing is, like we discussed this before, maybe we're the moral compass, and it's up to us to pass judgment or to feel a certain way about the characters, because there's something to be said for putting a load of morally questionable characters together. And not having someone go, well, this is wrong, because we don't need to be told something is wrong as audiences. Like, do you know what I mean? Now, I mean, I might be wrong, and maybe it's just an oversight, or it's just.
It's hard to. I would imagine it was conscious on the part, because I've gone through some of the behind the scenes and stuff on this. So it's mentioned as there's 2 writers on it. Apparently, it's very, very different from the novel, which is like fucking. You have to pay like €200 to get a copy of the novel, which to our dear audience, I'm sorry, I'm not doing that. Or I would have had to VPN fucking and gone to US Amazon to get a fucking Kindle or something. But there's 2 writers credited, and they only ever speak about Tony Gilroy, who our audience at the moment, as we record this in 2025, probably half of them are like, oh, the Andor guy. Yeah, him and his brother are doing Andor. He directed and wrote a film, if I'm not mistaken, he wrote and directed it, that Michael Clayton film with George Clooney.
Oh, yeah.
Which I had to switch off. I remember I was watching it and I was like, I'm switching this off. I thought it was 20 minutes. I remember it was like an hour and I was like, this film hasn't fucking gone anywhere. He's a very, very esoteric kind of a guy. Now, he doesn't really jive with me. But I would imagine he was consciously avoiding cliches, and he was... it is an like you could say, like, what's the best sequel ever made? The Godfather 2, which is our Al Pacino thing, where you could say, well, where is he left to go? Look what he did in the first film. But what makes the film great is he starts bad, but it's like, no, you can still go lower. Like, you can lose your innocence, but can you lose your soul? So I like the idea, but the question is, if you're making a big melodramatic film where Al Pacino's the fucking devil, maybe his wife should be a scold, maybe. Exactly. But points for trying.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. Like, so obviously as the film moves on, you see them celebrating, and he's approached from someone from the law firm.
Yeah, and they do I can't remember the character. He's actually a very good actor. The guy plays it well. And they do make a point of it. It was the 1990s. He's like, oh, you're black. Oh, nice touch.
Yeah.
Watch it. You do kind of go like, Jesus.
That's something that'll come up, because obviously, as we've decided, kind of, a lot of films we're going to cover on this podcast are from the 90s. And as you'll see, is a lot of them, there is racial undertones in just about all of them. Like, do you know what I mean? And it's something that I wasn't ever really so keyed into it. It kind of passed me by at times, but in certainly in this film, which we've just mentioned, and then also in films which we won't get too bogged down in with now, but there seems to be it seems to be almost a 90s trope to have.
It was a big topic at the time, but it seemed to be from the perspective now where, without wanting to be taken down by either side, you could make arguments that things have maybe been pushed a little too hot and heavy on both sides. Like, it's treated as kind of like a... Obviously, it's not a nice thing that he's saying, like, oh, you're black. Like, it's kind of a socially awkward moment, but there isn't kind of a politicizing or a reach over the head with it. Like, again, I hate to be one of these guys like, no, nowadays. But it would be hard for me to imagine them playing it the same way. The same thing might happen, but it would have
there'd be some sort of outrage or...
Yeah, and funny enough, on the commentary, it is an absolutely fucking god-awful commentary track, by the way. Your man just kind of says what happens on screen, but he does have an interesting moment. He is like he's married to fucking Helen Mirren, Taylor Hackford.
Okay, yeah.
So how white can a person get? Now, he's reached the pinnacle of white. He married to fucking Helen Mirren, he's doing well. But he goes, I can't remember the actor's name, but he goes, yeah, you know, he's very sophisticated, but, you know, he's still black. He's still black, and if he'd have fucking said that nowadays, they're like, well, that's getting...
But even that's the type of thing where people would go back and retroactively...
He kind of has a point. Like, I mean, that obviously that means something, and it kind of means how you interact with the world. But at the same time, I was like, maybe you want to go back and not say that again. But like, is it offensive or no? But I don't
find it offensive myself. But I'm also not a black man, so
yeah, he was very cavalier about throwing. Again, that kind of culture today would be. You know, he'd be probably
frowned
across
upon
the cold for that. But in a way, he's doing the director's job, that's kind of a weirdly specific thing. You know, like, oh, he's this guy, but he's still also this. So he's put a bit of thought into it. I don't know that he's an amazing director in terms of finding nuances, but he's looking for them. You know, which is, again...
It's amicable, if nothing else.
Why the film, again, is... I find it compelling as opposed to actually completely successful. So, yeah. And then we go to... I do like, actually, how they handle the legal stuff in the film. We should maybe mention how big legal thrillers were in the 90s.
Oh, yeah,
like fucking John Grisham, like A Time to Kill being... to me, that's the number one, but I watched it so many times when I was younger. It might not be the one in the public consciousness, but all these John Grisham adaptations were huge. So the film's very compelling, and it is very convincing in the legal stuff.
See, I think the reason it works, and it works so well, is because it doesn't get bogged down in legalese. So, for instance, as the film progresses from where he gets headhunted by the black man, for the want of a better way to put it,
as Taylor Hackford,
exactly, as Taylor Hackford would have wanted, So as we move on, kind of a couple of sequences, a couple of scenes, and the whole point is they want help to pick a jury, to guarantee a win, essentially. Now, if you look at that scene where they're in the courthouse, and then you have the kind of straight-laced, kind of not the hotshot lawyer who's already there, and they get into conflict.
The bean counter kind of type.
So the discussion that happens isn't the legal; it's personal.
Yes,
he's humanising the reasons as to why. It's not dressed up in any kind of legal jargon or that, and it's just, and that's why, because everybody can kind of understand that. Yeah, do you know what I mean?
That's done in every scene, and it's very well done.
Yeah,
and it's
brilliant.
It's a clever way to do it.
Yeah, because I mean, we've seen films before where they expect you to have read the law beforehand, and at points, now some films are just so good that they can get away with it. But the sort of films, and you're like, Jesus Christ, I have no idea what's happening. Like Section 2.40. Like there's this, there's a scene just after the scene where he picks a jury. So obviously he picks a successful jury, and then they go on and the case is won. Do you know what I mean? So he served his purpose, which is the kind of intro then into kind of deeper things that we'll discuss now in a second. But one of the first things that he has to do after, because he's for all intents and purposes, he's going back to Florida. Do you know what I mean? And it's not until we're introduced to Pacino's character, John Milton, who kind of convinces him to stay on. True, and you can kind of tell then with the introduction of Al Pacino, you can kind of tell. I don't know if it's was meant to be this on the nose, but you can tell that there's something sinister happening from as soon as he's introduced.
He's across the street, he's dressed all in black.
Yeah. It's all the symbolism behind it is all very.
The music is very.
Yeah, that's one thing I would say is if in a lot of scenes, as we'll continue as we're going along, the music is very much telling you what's going on.
I have to say the film again. He made a point on the commentary, Hackford, about filming it in New York, and New York, the style of the buildings, the kind of I don't know, an architect to know better, but like it's very Gothic seeming, like
Art Deco, all that.
Yeah, it's brilliant because it gives it that, and he had to fight apparently to actually film it there, and it gives it a convincing supernatural air without. There's nothing remotely supernatural for quite a while in the film. Yes, the way they kind of set the scene, like it's a professionally very well made film from a craft point of view,
because the way it's like obviously with the introduction of John Milton, Al Pacino's character, obviously you don't the trailer kind of gives it away, but in terms of the narrative arc, we don't know yet what exactly is going on or who he is, but just the way it's shot, the way he's dressed, the music, you know that no matter what happens, he's not right. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean?
There's something shady going on.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And the kind of language and how he kind of convinces him. No, it's not even so much convinces him because Kevin Lomax wants to. He doesn't want this to end, but he still feels the need to. I wouldn't say dress it up, but like he's really massaging his ego. In terms of how he's talking and how he's kind of manipulating the situation to ensure, even though he kind of wants to stay, he's ensuring that there's no barriers, like a wife saying no, his mother saying no. He's taking those obstacles and he's kind of minimizing them by massaging the ego and really kind of giving in to the kind of 7 deadly sin.
Yeah, no, they do a very good job, and I touched on it earlier, but they make it very clear, like this is an egotistical guy, and again maybe the casting of Keanu, who doesn't come across that way, so he has to work at it, whereas like with another actor, like for example, like Denzel Washington, for example, is clearly a very, very confident man. He doesn't seem particularly laid back, to me. It might have just come a bit easier to someone like him. You know what I mean? But no, it's again they don't soften him. As you say, they set it up like there's something going on here. Something's not quite right. You know
and it does it very well because it kind of sets you up then for what you're in for, because although it does remain as kind of a legal thriller with dark undertones up until it kind of switches and it gets a bit supernatural. It very much stays within that kind of, it's a legal drama / thriller with dark undertones throughout for a large part of the film. And I think that's why I think that works well as keeping you engaged. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, another thing it does,
because if they blew that load too soon, do you know what I mean? For the want of a better way to say it, because then what happens for the rest of the film? Do you know what I mean? I think it's very well kind of stacked.
Yeah.
And
no, they do very well as well. Like they do a few like kind of standard things. So he shows up in New York, and I think the next scene following introducing Al Pacino is he's told, "Oh, here's your new place. You're moving in here."
Yeah.
And like it kind of appeals to you as a human being as like, this guy, he sees something in you. You're special. So he's giving you all these extra perks.
And especially because it's mentioned by the characters that not just anybody. This is usually for partners, this building.
Yeah, it's
stuff
made
like,
very clear, like, you are special.
Yeah.
And again, that just kind of tends to appeal to, like, everyone likes to say, oh, these Twilight films, like, makes young girls feel special. Well, everyone fucking likes to feel that way. Like, I think it was Alfred Hitchcock who said, if you show a guy who's really great at his job, the audience will like him. And I think that's because that's how we like to see ourselves. Oh, I'm the competent guy. I know this, and if I were this and that. And that, you like, as much as they kind of keep you, like some of the decisions they make, like of making him kind of an arsehole early on, you still are kind of like rooting for him to do well, because well, you know, fair play, like, you know, like Americans say, he's getting out there, fair play, you know, you gotta hustle, bro.
So obviously then we're introduced then to Al Pacino's character and Kevin's character, and then they're obviously brought into their new apartment. And I think this was a really cool choice. The fact that when you go into the apartment, it's all bare barren walls, white walls, right? Now, because I know white kind of symbolises more kind of maybe jovial or angelic things, but there's something about, if it's going to elude me now, but the black guy's wife, who's
Tamara something.
She's in a couple of things. She was in CSI as well and stuff like that. I think.
She? Okay.
Yeah. She was like the what you call him, the coroner, like the.
Okay, right.
Well, the bullet hit him at this side. And
I've seen episodes of that.
Yeah. But she's really good in this. Because there's something so chilling just about how she's saying, you can put your own palette up and all this. And then obviously they're kind of leaning into these are country folk up from the... Because they're like, what's a palette? Like,
what's interesting is there's nothing malicious about her. I don't think...
But there's a coldness.
There is, yeah. But they don't have a shot of her kind of going, like, rolling her eyes at your one.
Oh, no. She seems like all intense. But there is something soulless about her.
There is, yeah.
And I think that's on purpose.
That's very good, yeah. That again, the film does stuff like that.
Because as we'll get on to, but as the kind of Mary Ann, Charlize Theron's character's descent into madness kind of continues, the apartment plays a major role in that, in conveying that. Do you know what I mean? So, obviously, we've seen the apartment. Again, it's keeping with the tone. It's very well done, I think, especially because from the performances from the actors, and then also almost the apartment as a character in itself.
Yeah, no,
it works really well. Like, and then, so, obviously, Milton it needs to kind of help Kevin along the way and kind of ebbing away, decaying his morality just that little bit more. So he's shown the tape of the African man sacrificing the goat.
I think is before that though is where they actually have their first meeting, him and Pacino, on top of the... It is a great set.
Oh, on top of the...
Yeah, they have a great office for him. Like the set design on this is really very good. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like it's a movie for adults with an adult kind of a theme, with all the Hollywood machinery behind it. So like the set design and all this. That scene on top of the building, like visually it's great. I do have a lot of the two-hander scenes in this that are scenes that I was like, oh yeah, that must be a great scene. And when I find myself watching them, I'm like, they're just missing like a little snap or a little like clearer stakes of what's going on. Like visually that scene is brilliant, but I find myself watching it kind of going, the idea of this scene is amazing and the execution of it, like there's something in the dialogue or something. Maybe it's again your man Gilroy being a little more esoteric than I connect to. But I was like, I kind of find myself, I think, longing for the simplified, more standard version of it, which maybe says something about me as an audience member. But that's it. If you ask me, like, what were they actually talking about, negotiating?
I'm not sure, because I'm looking at the visuals a lot.
Yeah, it's visually stunning. No issues there, but I am just like, what are they actually talking, or what is different from the end of the scene to the start of the scene? And I
know what you mean,
but
I think... in terms of the kind of film overall, I think that scene makes a lot more sense once you know the full thing. And I think we'll put a pin in that and I'll kind of give you my hot take as to why that scene works.
Very good, yeah.
Because obviously we haven't got there yet, but I do think the way I looked at that, the way I viewed that as it was happening is very similar to you. But at the end of it, and looking back on it, I have a different opinion on it.
Well, a pin is put. Very good. And I think, as you say, after that, it does go to the kind of... They make great pains in the behind the scenes of, no, it's not voodoo. Or
that's it. I literally wrote down in my notes.
Yeah.
He goes to meet the voodoo people.
Yeah, it's fucking like, they make all this point of like, no, it's not. He's got his own perverse version of it. And I'm reminded of apparently when they were making that Tom Cruise tries to kill Hitler film, they were like,
Valkyrie.
Yeah, they're like, well, how can we show these guys aren't Nazis? And they're like, every German from 1940s in a uniform is a Nazi. There's nothing we can say. Same thing with this. I'm like, look, it's voodoo.
Yeah,
what do you want from me? Like,
exactly.
Like you can fucking say it's this or it's that or it's. But the guy speaks with like a French accent. Delroy Lindo is fucking great. Apparently,
he's brilliant.
He's friends with the.
So
director.
it's meant to be the French African accent.
Yeah, it's meant to be.
Because I had that written down.
It's meant to be the, I don't know, maybe like a New Orleans kind of French accent.
Yeah, maybe with a Creole or something.
But yeah, it's like, come on, it's fucking voodoo. I will say that was. Again, the film layers these things in very well, where he does a fucking voodoo ritual where he puts nails in a tongue or whatever.
Yeah,
and then the next scene where the guy
It's choking.
could just be happening, but the guy, what made it work, I think, was how over the top yet believable the guy's coffin is, because you're like, whoa, this is, and the way the judge is like, for God's sake, like,
going mad at him, yeah.
Like, it's just on that, it's very well done, it's just on that right level where you're like, this could be supernatural, or it could just be something.
It could be
happens.
just, exactly. He could have just had a frog in his throat. But one thing in the leading up to where he's introduced to Delroy Lindo's character, and it's kind of weird now. The thing I got from here, I got massive Prince of Darkness vibes. Mm-hmm. Like on the way in, like everything, like from the homeless guy shouting, "Keep them, we send them back to Africa," with all that.
Like, connection, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And but I found myself with the same feeling, kind of a bit of unease and a bit of, and even the way the woman comes out and he's asking, "I'm looking for this guy. Can you help me find him?" and all this. And the whole time, even the way she stares back at the homeless guy, it just gave me Prince of Darkness vibes all over it.
I hadn't made the connection, but yeah, very much so. Yeah,
and even the building itself.
Yeah. Again, from a production design wise,
fantastic,
very well done. Yeah, like it's all very authentic. Again, I just kind of, what's there is pretty good, but I think in my head I've like this slightly better version of it. Like, it should just be that little bit, but like in terms of what you see on screen, I'm like, oh, what's wrong with that? Like, it's all well done. And then after that, I do like, again, as we say, they make for all my complaints, like maybe it's a little esoteric, like they make the courtroom scenes arguments about like how clever Keanu Reeves is, as opposed to legal doctrine or whatever. Like what he does is he looks at this from a different angle. Like he gets the religious.
You see him, because there's films that certainly where they put too much emphasis on for instance, like there's a scene in between that, I think, where he gets all the health codes documents for New York.
Yes, yeah.
And there's loads, but now I've seen things, especially around courtroom dramas or courtroom TV series, and then there'll be a whole montage of him reading the book and him, whereas this doesn't need it. We know there's loads of them. We know he's going to read them, and then it just gets straight into the courtroom. Then.
They do intercut it, I think, as well, with Charlize Theron not having a good time and like trying to get the house up, which again,
because if you notice as the film progresses, there's always something going on when she's having an episode. Do you know what I mean? Always something.
They're connected, yeah.
Yeah,
connected
definitely, yeah.
And again, like the way he figures it out and he appeals to the judge, and
it's very, because it is very clever. It's like he's just a religious man. There's nobody says anything about breaking the body of Christ or.
Well, it's pure cynicism as well, and I think which is an interesting word. Or if we've anyone watching from the USA, I think that word is even more negative in the USA than it is here. I think we use it a bit more freely than they do, like cynical. Like we would say, like, if someone, that person was obviously going to score a goal, but they fouled them. That was a very cynical foul.
Yeah.
I don't know that they use it that way in the USA. I think it's more of a moralistic kind of nihilistic way of looking at the world. But we would say he was very cynical the way he manipulated that. Like, he knows that's fucking bullshit. He knows. He's just like, but hey, look, I can win.
Because at the end of the day, that's all. That's why he's being given this case. Is for John Milton to keep ebbing away at any sort of sense of right that this man has, because he knows that was nonsense and that it was just.
He's clever though.
Do you know what I mean? This is it.
And then I think the next scene after that is the scene in Chinatown.
Yeah,
with the pair of them. Yeah. Now, what was your take on this scene, Keith?
I mean, it felt, for the first time as I was watching it, it felt kind of. A lot of the dialogue and stuff was kind of on the nose. It was telling you where to go. Whereas, I mean, I know we discussed the one where they're on the rooftop. That wasn't as pointed. That was a little bit less, kind of more ambiguous. Do you know what I mean? Which, rightly or wrongly. Whereas this, I felt was, it was almost the Milton character showing off in terms of what he's saying and how he's saying it. And it's like, is this the scene where he is saying about you need to lose some? Or
I don't know if he says that in this scene. He says to him, you're nearly too perfect. And he kind of goes, see, the thing about me is they don't see me coming. And I'm kind of like, I know Al Pacino is short. Yeah. I get that. But I'm like, this is Al Pacino in like in the 1990s. There's nothing subtle about this.
Is this where does he notice the shoes?
That was on the
He's wearing the high heels.
Yeah. Which I found to be kind of a weird, like an interesting, but again a detail that I'm like, where are they going with this? Like, this guy meant to be in. It just kind of unbalanced it for me. But some people might find that interesting. But I found some of the stuff again in this scene just going. I think sometimes there's stuff in the dialogue that isn't dramatized. So when Al Pacino in the 90s says, "They don't see me coming, I'm underestimated," and I'm like, come on, like you fucking the way he like he's amazing. Don't get me wrong, but like if he'd have said that the same year he did Godfather 2, where he did just silently walk in a room and everyone is like, ooh, but now he's Al Pacino and he's kind of crazy, and you're like, come on, no one is gonna. And they've scenes in the film where he walks in a room and everyone's like, yeah, I'm like, how is he fucking underestimated? Like, some of the dialogue's very funny, like when he says, "Oh, I'm just after riding the arse off this one," and she's looking at me, and it's just little old me, and I'm like, you seem like the kind of guy who'd think you could fuck someone real good, bro. You don't seem like a shrieking violet to me. No. But like again, the presentation of the scene is very good. They really filmed it in New York. And
a big shout out for Kim Chan. I don't know if you know
yes. Yeah.
Of Lethal Weapon 4 fame.
Yeah. Who actually, now I lived in Hong Kong for a few years, and Al Pacino is saying syllables that pertain to the Cantonese language, but I would bet my life that he is not
speaking the language.
He's saying stuff like he says like guy, which again, sorry to anyone who speaks it, like it's even more tonal because a lot of people know that Mandarin has tones, Cantonese has more. So as far as I know, each individual syllable he's saying it, but like the thought that the guy would actually be able to understand, like I'm like I fucking doubt it. Like, but again, like points for that. But then I thought it was funny on the commentary track. Taylor Hackford's like. And he's really speaking Chinese, like as if he actually pulled it off properly. Pull the fucking other one, mate. I do want to just a quick note on that actually. So a few years back, my brother bought me an Al Pacino biography. So naturally, when I knew we were recording this, I'm like, to the index. Sorry, everyone at home. I hit the microphone. Head to the index, Devil's Advocate, and it's like 2 pages in it. I was like, that's kind of disappointing. And he was interviewed by the guy writing the book. It was a series of interviews over years. So he was being interviewed as it was released in cinemas because they make a reference to "you're in a hit." And Al Pacino is very non-committal about talking about this film, which I found interesting. Like he goes, "You're in a hit. Yeah, it's nice." Like literally that's it. And then I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into this, but Pacino doesn't say Hackford's name. He says the director. Because the guy, there's this bit where you lip sync to a song, and he goes, "Oh, I did that in rehearsals, and the director liked it." Like he seemed very like he was like
indifferent to.
Yeah, I wonder because maybe now is a good time to talk about it. I didn't find Pacino as like entertaining in this as I had remembered it being, or like people seem to think about it being. I wonder if he was kind of like, I'm all right with this. Like he made a few references in that interview. Like the guy was asking him about the time, and he goes, "Well, how'd you get into it?" And he said he saw, I think it was Walter Houston in a 1940s film. And he's like, there's something to play there, and obviously it's a big character. He didn't seem like really that into it. Now he's a very good actor, so it's not terrible. But I was like, he doesn't look as. I don't know. He didn't seem to bother to get into shape for it. And as good as I was saying, the photography and all that is, he isn't lit in as beautiful a movie. He's a very attractive guy. Like he was in his mid to maybe even late 50s at the time. But still, like in he looks like someone who would kind of be someone like people would look like. I know he's Al Pacino, so he's super famous and all this. Yeah. But in he was pretty convincing as someone who could like walk into a nightclub or something and women would still be like, "Oh, all right." Whereas in this, he didn't look as movie star amazing as I thought. I don't know whether it was just a lack of commitment or whether it was just he just had, it happens to us all, but God knows I'm knocking on middle age myself, but whether it was just at that stage where he was like, he is a little too old to really be this guy that they're kind of trying. I don't know. Did you find that at all, or how did his performance? Because it's the most lauded part of the film.
Yeah, that's true. Like I mean, I think at times when he really leans into the, which we'll get to, when he leans into and he's being Pacino, like, do you know what I mean? It's like something like because if you put De Niro in that same role, I don't think De Niro can do that as well as Pacino.
True, yeah.
There's just certain things that kind of when he's screaming and it's like, do you know what I mean? That's why you
Pacino. Buy the ticket, like,
exactly. Now I think in scenes where he's kind of I don't want to say the training wheels are off in terms of Al Pacino, but you know what I mean, where there's nobody getting in his way. I think those scenes are great, and I think it's an amazing performance. But in the more kind of, for instance, the scene in Chinatown, where it's a bit more subdued, if that's the right word, where he's not the quintessential Pacino. I think because you can remember parts of the performance, and then your memory will cloud that as the whole performance. Whereas I don't think that's the case in this film.
Yeah, to be honest, like, it might be a pretty simple solution. It's just not as good a part as some of the other stuff he plays. Like, it's not as deep. Like, it is kind of like he's playing the devil. Like, it's either go hard or go home, and he goes hard in some of the scenes. But like, there's scenes where he's subtler in some scenes. Like, he is a fantastic actor. Like, I would say I've never seen that Jack and Jill that everyone fucking goes mad over.
Don Pacino.
Yeah. But like, he's a fantastic actor who knows his job. But I was wondering if I was picking up on like a lack of commitment on his part, or a lack of interest, or was it just the words on the page were not there, and you can only kind of play with what you're given? Because I say in the Chinatown scene as well, if you ask me what is the scene about, I don't know. Like, what changes in the Kevin Lomax character from the start of the scene to the end? And like, what is Keanu Reeves supposed to do? Oh, you're too obvious. You're too obviously good looking. I mean, is he supposed to go out and break his nose or get in a car crash? Or like what? Like, he's pointing something out about him, but I am like, what is the seduction here?
But what I think potentially, and I could be wrong, but it's almost like, do you ever hear what a neg is?
No.
A neg, right?
Yeah.
So a neg is a backhanded compliment you give to a woman.
Sorry, negging.
Yeah, negging.
Yeah.
So he's essentially doing that. Because in order to manipulate and mould this guy, he needs his defences down. Because we've seen already in the different scenes that he's so clever that he's going to know, he'll cop on. So I have to lower this fella's self-esteem in order, which is why he's saying these things. Do you know what I mean?
That's very interesting. That might make, I'd have to go back and watch it. Honestly, it didn't jump out at me, so obviously there's some kind of disconnect. But there, would you like to hear a story about negging that I did accidentally? We may as well, guys. Why not? Now, I wasn't actually coming on to this person, I swear on my life, but I did the ultimate exam once. I worked
for... Call her a fat bitch or something?
I work for this company that was, we teach English, but there was we teach them to drama, so there were a lot of actors at it. So they organised this kind of talent show. And I was sitting at it, and I had a thing that was performed at it, so I was very nervous at it, so I probably wasn't really recording everything in my brain as I might. So then later on, we went to the pub, and I was introduced to this one, and so she goes, "So who did you think was the best performer, and what was the best performance for you?" And I went, "Do you know, I'd have to say it was probably that girl with the really great voice. That was you, wasn't it?" She goes, "Yeah." And in her defense, she kind of pulled her hair back because she had her hair pulled back. But it was as far as I know, that's like textbook. Like, you did something great, but I don't even remember you. And I swear my fucking life, I did it by accident. I didn't go anywhere, guys, because I was in a relationship at the time. But I just forever.
What if it was today?
Oh, if it were to, fuck me, yeah. But it was just, I felt like such a fucking dick. But I was like, then I was only later on I found out what negging was, and I was like, well, I've already kind of hit the peak.
Yeah, I'm confident it's never going to get any better than this.
I did not recognize, again, it was probably because I was freaking out, but now that everyone knows what negging is. And
yeah. Just in case you didn't already.
Try that one, yeah. Go see Charlie XCX and you meet her in the bar. Who are you again?
So obviously... they then attend a party in the Barzoons?
The Barzoons, yeah.
Eddie Barzoons.
Interesting name.
Yeah.
Yeah, Eddie Barzoon, played by...
Jeffrey Jones.
By noted sex criminal Jeffrey Jones.
Convicted in 2003 of taking pictures of a 14-year-old.
Yeah, and then I did a quick Wikipedia because I knew that about him. And he took pictures with just... legit like publicity photos with Justin Bieber in 2016 or so. It was like, oh fuck me. Who was, I really only know him from Ferris Bueller's Day Out. I think that's the only kind of, he was.
Well, he pops up in a lot of things. Like, I mean, I know him from Beetlejuice. I also know him from Stuart Little. Like,
have never saw Stuart Little, but he was everywhere in the 90s.
Oh yeah.
He's in Sleepy Hollow, sorry, as well. Credit, like he's
not a bad actor. He's good. Like, for all stuff aside, like.
Yeah, that
you know what I mean?
kind of casting actually to me is like, that's the more obvious. He's like typecast, you know, like he looks like a sleazy fucking guy.
Yeah.
So in some ways it's again kind of successful, but they never quite give him enough space to breathe. We'll get into the scene where he gets killed later, but again, the art direction, that scene, brilliant. It really seems like a high society party.
And there's a nervousness, because the thing that I like this is where you first really see the disconnect between Kevin Lomax and Mary Ann. So Keanu Reeves and Charlize Theron's characters.
Credit to the film, that breakdown in their marriage is very convincing,
and it's so well done, because it's gradual and it's do you know what I mean? They take a little bit away, but it never comes back, and then they take another little bit.
It's just like a little bit selfish. Like you can't expect me to hold your hand through the whole night.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
But and that's what she's just quite simply asking, please don't leave me alone. And then obviously, lo and behold, well, this is the first time he kind of gets. Yeah, seduced by.
That's a very good scene. That might be. I know people will like the more flamboyant stuff, but that scene is really very good. Where Pacino, again, I found myself thinking they could have lit him a little more flatteringly here. Like there's, but that aside, Al Pacino will watch this and want me fucking dead now.
Yeah.
But he's a very attractive man, Al. Don't get me wrong. I still would, even though he's like 1 million years old now. But that scene it's pretty brilliant actually, because he's quite inappropriate in it, but in a plausibly deniable kind of way. Oh yeah,
he's like every good CEO, and
he's obviously heavily coming on to her, and he's really negging her there. You know, like
about the hair
would look good and all this. So that is maybe where the film could have lived for me, in that space. So it does achieve it at sometimes, but it's just enough that you're like, if Keanu Reeves walked over, he wouldn't be able to say, like, what are you doing? What are you doing with my wife?
Yeah.
But he'd know something. It's like a foot massage.
Yeah. Foot massage. Would you give a man a foot massage?
No, fuck no. Would you let Al Pacino tell you to cut your hair? Well, yes, I would, actually. But no, that scene's very, very good.
It's very well done, yeah. So obviously then, the one thing that Mary Ann asks Kevin not to do is leave her alone. She gets left alone. She's walking around the party looking for him. Yeah. And then obviously Al Pacino begging her to cut her hair. And then obviously then that's juxtaposed with Kevin, who is enjoying himself.
Yeah, he's talking to your one Connie Nielsen. Her character name
Christabella.
It's kind of an Italian name. Maybe we should touch on Connie Nielsen for a second. She's actually very good. I like her a lot. She's like a fucking genius who speaks like 10 languages or something.
Oh, so she was actually speaking the language.
She's Danish, I think, but she speaks obviously English fluently. I want to say she speaks Japanese. There's some kind of weird film she did with some French guy where she speaks like nearly every language she can speak, and she speaks tons of them. I can't help but feel she was slightly miscast, to be honest. I found myself wondering, would it have worked if they kind of... Her personality works for that role, but I don't know if she quite has the look. She's obviously very beautiful, but I found myself wondering, would Charlize Theron have worked a bit better in that role? But she's very good. Having said that, neither of them performance-wise are bad, but I just kind of felt like from a personality point of view, Connie Nielsen just seemed a little bit out of step for me. I
know what you mean. I'm inclined to agree with you, but I don't think it's enough of something for me. I'm not. Maybe someone else could have been better, but I don't think she's wrong for it. If that makes sense, do you know what I mean? It's acceptable to me if that.
I might be a little harsher on her, but again, I wouldn't say she was bad. Like again, personality-wise, I feel she pulls it off quite well. There was just something about her character, like just the way she looks. I thought maybe the kind of more innocent person would have, but again, it doesn't unbalance the film or anything. And that's the one scene that's on like a blue screen. where they're overlooking the city. Apparently, it was so cold when they filmed it that because they're out in the balcony in this.
Yeah.
Again, you really get the flavor of high society. In this film very well. So that was a blue screen because it was too cold. Or he didn't say it on the commentary, but I'd imagine.
Yeah, it's awful. That's I made a note of it. Like
it's quite noticeably blue screen.
Yeah, completely. Yeah.
There's some quite good effects in the film.
To the point, but it's so noticeably blue screen that to the point that you're like. To the lay person watching, they're like, that's not real, or whatever. But and then maybe to someone who knows a bit more, well, that's because they've lit
said it was because of the heat, but also I can't imagine you'd be able to get much of an exposure of the background of a city like on film at that. Maybe I'm talking out my hole now, but it was. You could have been, as the Japanese would say, I hoped it would be better, basically. And then we go into, I think the next part is they get the call about the big case. Yeah. And this is where we're introduced to Milton's apartment, which is another basically masterpiece of set design.
Yeah.
Really, really, like insanely high ceilings, no rooms to speak of. It's just
one large room. Yeah, there's no bed. Even Kevin says it in the scene. He's like, "Where does he sleep? Where's his kitchen?" Yeah, he's like, he doesn't have one.
That is a great line where he goes, "Where does he sleep?" And who says he sleeps? Well, where does he fuck? And he's like, "Everywhere." All right, that's why you pay your fucking money to hear Pacino say. Yeah. No, that apparently there's that kind of figure behind his desk. The kind of design is a little unclear on this, but. Apparently that was the subject of like a lawsuit.
Yeah, it's Ex Nihilo is the name of the sculpture, which...
That it was based on, or that it...
I'm not sure if it was based on. Inspired by,
That it was similar to.
So if you look at that, so apparently from what I could research on it, okay, it's... At the end, in the final scene of the film, when you see the figures on it, apparently they were in it the whole time. So they're in it.
Okay.
Whereas, so they digitally had to change it. That's why, that's one thing I noticed as well, because you see the dodgy blue screen on the balcony. If you look at the shots of where Pacino was standing in front of it, it's clearly messed with behind them. Yeah. It's very opaque. It's very soft.
I do know at some point in my life I saw a disc that had like a sticker on it or something where they referenced it, like the sculpture Ex Nihilo or whatever. The version I have has been altered, but there are versions out there.
Definitely, because it was the original cinematic release would have had the original sculpture in the background.
Apparently, some video releases, but it was held up. Like, can you imagine being the fucking guy who made that fuck up?
Yeah.
Like, oh Jesus, the whole fucking film being held up because of something like that.
But you can tell, because I mean, obviously, it still looks like it's a great centerpiece in the room. But it does when you watch. If you've only seen a version where it is the altered version. It's like, because when you see it in the final scene of the film, it looks spectacular. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas it just kind of looks like this. It's like, you ever see like someone washing a window and the suds are on it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It kind of has those vibes rather than what it was meant to be.
It still works for me. It
doesn't take. It doesn't take. Don't get me wrong. It doesn't. It's only because if somebody watching that and didn't do any research afterwards, they wouldn't notice it. Yeah. I don't think.
No, it's still it has a nice look to it. Like but the room as a whole is just kind of brilliant. Like that's Hollywood. We talked a bit on American Psycho about the lack of the kind of Hollywood polish sometimes, and people are like, oh, it's fucking Hollywood and it's this or that. Well, what you get with it is insanely brilliant craftsmen, and women.
Because I'm in there, 2024.
Crafts people who know their fucking jobs inside out. Like, that's one of the reasons it never occurred to me, but like, I'd be a big fan now of Orson Welles, and like his first two films were made in the Hollywood system, and they those famous long takes. And apparently once he kind of had to step outside the Hollywood system, like that's one of the reasons his films, he had to get mad into editing, is I can't find people who can physically pull off these shots. Like, his imagination was still the same, but he was like, they just can't do it. That's what you get with the Hollywood sitting. Now, the problem can be fucking people with no vision a lot of the time. But there's enough of a vision in the film here that it just kind of makes me miss it. Like, if this is an adult film with an adult theme, it has to have bad language, has to have sex in it, yet it has the Hollywood machinery behind it. And again, I hate to sound like one of these fucking people, but they don't really make films like that anymore, that are just, oh no, we're not letting you go out in the world without an amazing set for this is Pacino as the fucking devil. It has to be amazing. Here's the money to do it. We're not fucking letting you away with that bullshit. I kind of miss that. You know, like the amount of stuff I've seen on Netflix and the fucking cinematography is awful.
Yeah.
I'm like, Christian fucking Bale is in this and you can't like the fucking scene properly. Like, what the fuck are you playing at? I don't know whether it is just a fucking like
see, you have to look at it.
Thing, but
yeah, see, the thing is, I understand what you're saying about lighting and all, but I don't think that's a lack of skill set. It's because what Netflix and things like this tend to do is if David Fincher wants to go off and do something, they say, here's $30 million, go and do whatever you want. So these weird lighting and different things, that's someone with free reign choosing that. Do you know what I mean? In a lot of cases, like some of the more formulaic stuff, like the electric state or whatever, like those type of things, you tend to find that it's better than that because they have more creative control. But the reason why everybody moved from the kind of Hollywood system over to these streamers is because they were told, just do whatever you want. Here's the money.
Yeah, I suppose you can kind of think some things are born of restraint and die of freedom. Like some of the studio, now I remember I was watching, it was a Christian Bale Pale Blue Eye or something that Edgar Allan fucking posing or something. I think it was made during lockdown, so I'll give it some credit. I watched 15 minutes of it and I was like, there is stuff in this that a studio in the 90s would not have let them get away with. And it is just like some of the times, am I all for artistic freedom and all this? And yeah, sure. Look, Netflix made The fucking Irishman, which I think is like the best film of the last 20 years. Like, I'm not going to knock them, but like the people making movies, to some degree, I know the 80s and 90s are when the bean counters meant to have been taken over, but like there were things where they'd say, we're not letting you get out there. Because like just because you're a good director doesn't necessarily mean you know what a good set looks like, or that you can tell a set director, actually, no, like I can see yourself kind of going, oh, that's okay, isn't it? And then I'll go, no, you're out of your fucking mind, kid, with their fucking cigar, like, you know, and like your Joel Silver's going, no, you need 100 cop cars. Yeah. Fucking 100 of them, 3 of them, what's this bullshit? And that gives them a flavor, you know. And again, this film is some of the best stuff in it is stuff that I don't think there's a culture for anymore. But again, I don't watch enough fucking movies to come out nowadays. I could be talking about I don't want to sound like Ben Shapiro, like everything's either the wokest thing ever or it's a superhero film. I don't even watch films. I just talk about the Barbie movie.
Yeah. Like, don't even get me started again on Ben Shapiro. Like, any grown man who can see the Barbie movie and have that reaction, okay, is not somebody you should be following. No,
it's almost as if he's addicted to the online ecosystem.
Yeah.
So I think after that we get into what is in some ways an incredibly effective piece of casting, but there's a moment in it that doesn't quite work for me. The developer,
Craig T. Nelson,
who apparently was controversial casting. He had a show called Coach, which I think was kind of half shown over here at the time, where he played a very affable kind of a guy. In that opening scene which is brilliantly set on the building site, again, visually this film just snaps. It works. He's quite good in that scene. I got a real flavour for the character in that scene. This is an arrogant fucking prick who's like backs against the wall, and it's very good. They kind of manipulate him into taking they do have to do I think the term they use is shoe leather, because it's meant to be like Pacino's firm is meant to be like for suing people. So they kind of have a few kind of jumping through hoops of things of like, no, we're starting a legal department. This is new for us. And it kind of gives it a plausibility that they might pick someone like Reeves. But basically the scene is, it does kind of lead to maybe the scene is ultimately kind of redundant, because it just becomes, oh, well, you should work with us on this. And it kind of works as they have to seduce him into doing it. But at the same time, I'm like, well, what has it really got to do with the plot of Keanu Reeves losing his soul to Pacino? As a scene, it works, but... As a scene, it works,
but I mean, as it goes, because it's all to do with the consistent moral decay of Kevin Lomax's character, and which is in order as a plot device, if nothing else. He needs
his arrogance. Yeah,
he needs this case, because this is the one. This is the big one. This is... Like, this is the first foray into the crime or the criminal world, rather than just suing and stuff.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you could maybe make a case that the film is a little too incremental at times, I suppose. But it is. On reflection now, it is kind of another step in. He's becoming more confident. Like, this is going to be the biggest thing ever, and
he has the confidence to be the new kid on the block, the hot shot, as they refer to him multiple times, and Craig T. Nelson's character, Andrew, whatever, can't understand why are you giving me this fella. Do you know what I mean? And then he has to kind of fight. Well, this is why. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, he does. And there's some good stuff in the scene. Like I think there's a bit where Jeffrey Jones he wasn't convinced on Keanu Reeves either, but he kind of looks at Pacino, who just gives him a look, and the look is enough that he's like, okay, I better get with the program.
And it's like, I'm out, put me in, coach, and then he starts trying to convince the
and so he's on board now.
Yeah,
and I'm like, no, I mean, like the scene again,
tentatively on board
on its own terms. The scene works, but I just wonder if they'd been a little more disciplined, maybe in the script writing, or a little less esoteric, would it have been ultimately kept? But visually, it's so strong. Like I remembered the scene, even though I hadn't seen the film in years, because visually, and like they have that wide frame, and they've the background, the depth of New York, and again, like that kind of stuff. That was Hackford. He apparently was like, no, we are filming this in New York. We're not going to fucking Toronto or whatever was big at the time and filming it there. It has to be. And apparently it's a real fucking pain in the hoop to shoot in New York.
I'd imagine so. Like, I mean, the reason why everything, whether it's based in LA or New York or wherever, the reason why they don't do it is because it costs too much fucking money.
Yeah.
And there's too much red tape. Do you know what I mean? That's why it's like you'll often see American TV shows that aren't aired on European telly, and they're shot in a warehouse in Clondalkin. Yeah. Because it's cheaper to fly. It's cheaper to fly all the talent over here, put them up in 5-star hotels, and then get the crew from Ireland.
Crazy,
it's mad.
Yeah,
like.
it is one of those. I visited there, I think, twice in my life. Yeah, it is just a beautiful, amazing city, and I did live in Hong Kong for a few years, where literally anywhere you put a camera, there's something interesting in the background, so you get your value for money. The question is, how much is it going to cost, and how much of a pain? Because people just don't realize, like, because a lot of people fall into this kind of trap. I think in filmmaking, it's so physically difficult to do it. You nearly forget like that you have to try and make something good. Do you know what I mean? So anyone who makes even a possibly good film, you're like, they're putting in more work than a lot of people. I mean, I know they're well paid and all this. Maybe the director's not so much. That guy who made The fucking Brutalist is apparently broke as fuck. But it is like, just fair play to the guy. Like he pushed for that. Like a lot of the reason, again, maybe some of the shortcomings are on Hackford, but a lot of the pluses were decisions that he made.
Oh yeah.
And fair play. And that scene again, just visually, no notes, like very, very good.
Yeah.
So after that, I think herself is kind of decaying a bit. Or no, sorry, I think the scene after that is where Theron has gone shopping
with the girls,
with the girls,
with the wives,
with the wives, the wicked housewives,
and then we see our first kind of glimpse at the.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, she's out shopping for clothes with these, and the scene is pretty good. Again, they're never kind of rolling their eyes at all. Look at this fucking Kolschi. Yeah. Kolschi means like hayseed, I think is what the Yanks call it. They don't do that, but she always feels like separate from them. Yeah. So no, it's
because she has a soul. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. She's not as bad.
No, see, and that's why they're so inviting, or it appears that way. But even how they're talking, you can tell that the cognitive dissonance between their lives and their husbands, they it's almost like they are happy to just be wives.
Or and then she's probably thinking, do I have to end up like these people to be happy? And I'd rather fucking not. My issue is that I think, unless I'm wrong, it's the first scene where we get the fucking CGI demon stuff, and it is so fucking on the nose and like not particularly well. Like it's, I don't know whether Hackford is just not good, like Christopher Nolan. He's just not good at any scene that isn't meant to be literally physically happening. Like this, I think of the scene in Dark Knight Rises. I just was like, oh, is Liam Neeson alive again? Because there was nothing about it and it was not like shot that way. He kind of appears and he taunts Bruce Wayne, and I was like, he's just meant to be alive, is he? Because he can't do that kind of. Or the scene in Oppenheimer where, Jesus Christ, it was actually physically awkward. The scene in Oppenheimer where I don't know what's really meant to be happening, but I think it's his wife is hallucinating that he's riding Florence Pugh in the interview room. Yeah. And it was just horribly physically awkward to be in the cinema, because it was, and I don't think that was his intention. I think it was supposed to be like, oh, she's losing it here. And I was like, oh. I just think Hackford isn't very good at that kind of thing. Like, it's so blatant and in your face. And I was like, that does not look like someone something someone would see and go, did I see it or did I not? It was so like, she obviously just saw this, and that doesn't work for me. It has to be a little more, did I see that or didn't I?
A glimpse.
It was more than that, and it went on too long. It was 1997. It wasn't that good, you know. So,
but had she told Kevin that she can't get pregnant?
That's the following scene. I'm pretty sure that's the scene. Yeah,
that's the scene. Because he's explaining to her. That's why she's explaining. And what, you just left him there?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. And again, like the scene starts off like it's pretty. Those scenes actually work quite well because there's no overall esoteric kind of like fall from grace. It's just a husband and wife arguing, and it's quite good.
But one thing that, because as we stated earlier, the apartment almost as a character, as to her descent into madness. So as you can see, like, up until this point, every time we're in the apartment, it's different. So she can't get it right. I haven't
noticed it, but it is, even in hindsight now, I recognise what you're saying, and it's well done.
It's different, yeah.
People very good on this.
Because it's something that maybe a lot of people wouldn't notice or wouldn't pick up on, because they're like, oh well, they just moved into an apartment. The cost is going to be changes, but something to change that much. And Kevin even mentions it to the character here. Is like, you cut your hair, you did this, like, do you know
that's
what I mean?
Right. She at Pacino's suggestion, she cuts
her, completely changes it.
Yeah, it's to be fair as well. Like I know them changing someone's hair on like for real on a film really fucks things up. Whatever way they did it, I know this is a minor thing, but it's either they actually did cut her hair and they just went with it with the schedule, or however they did it, it just looks completely different. It doesn't look like, oh, she just styled it differently. It's a very different look, and it's if it's a wig or if the other one was a wig, fair play to them, they pulled it off. This is where we get into another scene that it's another hallucination. This is where the film for me really stops working as well as it had been for the first like half hour in particular. The sex scene with him and her, because I didn't really pick up on this till the film just doesn't obviously click with me, because I was watching the commentary and Hackford goes, oh, he just wants to fuck her to shut her up so he'll get her pregnant, and that seems to be what she wants. And I was like, oh yeah, I hadn't noticed that in the first scene. Now you could say I should have. That's on him, but maybe it's just me being an idiot. I'll give them credit for. So what happens in the scene, for anyone who's forgotten it or not in the know, he's having sex with Charlize Theron, but he starts to imagine her as Connie Nielsen.
Well, is he imagining her, or is that what's... Yeah. Can he see her? Do you know what I mean?
There's something interesting about how prolonged it is that it just stays Connie Nielsen that he's banging during the scene. I'll try and use every euphemism for sex as I can. And they make no bones about it. Like, there is a moment where he goes, huh? But then he's immediately like,
but that's the thing. Like, this is what's crazy to me, is can you imagine having the gall to have to act and pretend like Charlize Theron is somehow a downgrade or less attractive or something, like, because like there is this palpable moment where he opens his eyes or whatever, and then it's back to her and he's like, ooh. Do you know what I mean? It's like, what?
Maybe he's a better actor now.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh my God.
Well, that's in a way, it is, and I find it frustrating sometimes, and I am no fucking woke fucking moralist or anything, but I find it weird sometimes, like the questions men are like, is she hot, bro? And I'm like, I'm telling you something about a person who's having major relationship difficulties after years. It doesn't really matter how good looking a person is, but Charlize Theron is so good looking, you are kind of like, mate, would you not go home?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, mate, would you not fucking, like, I mean, like, it's Charlize Theron when she's like 21. She is still fucking gorgeous today. It's near 30 years. Her and Connie Nielsen, if I heard they were naked in the film now, I'd be like, sign me the fuck up. I'd still, fair play, whatever these lifestyle gurus are doing with these people. Keanu Reeves is still very fuckable, and he's 60 years old or something.
Yeah.
Fair play to them. Brad Pitt. Anyway, fucking.
Yeah, you're going off in a bit of a tangent.
But I have to give him credit for him being so into it. Like, he isn't just like, oh. He is like, oh man, it's that other one. Fuck yeah. But it goes on so fucking long, and I go, it
doesn't need to be that long.
Yeah, you get to see a bit more of the pair of them and their bits and bobs, which is fantastic, don't get me wrong, but I absolutely like, this could have been half the length, and I know,
yeah, and you could have taken 4 minutes off the runtime.
Yeah, and I like the way you would imagine they would do it. Like, again, the cookie cutter version of it is he sees glimpses of Connie Nielsen. So I'll give them credit for not going with that. But then I think what they replaced it with, these prolonged periods, I am just like, it's just too long. Like, it doesn't make it.
And to get to the point of, So it goes, and it's happened. So they switch back, and it goes again, and they switch back, and then she goes, "Where are you?"
Yeah,
and I'm right here.
Change that line.
Yeah.
Don't fucking say that. Like,
yeah, I'm like, I'm right here.
Yeah.
And she
Maybe
goes, "No,
that's
you're
a
not."
cliche. Maybe people say that in the US all the time when they're riding. I don't know.
Yeah, where are you?
Where are you? I don't know. Fucking. I'm thinking, what do they do in the US?
But I think it's the reason. Obviously, she says it is because we have to be made aware. Yeah, we have to be made aware that she knows that he's.
Yeah,
because it's the dichotomy of she's hating her life in New York and she's falling deeper and deeper into madness, and she doesn't know what's right or wrong, and he's loving it. He's loving every bit of it.
Yeah, I can't say it's emblematic of the whole film because the film isn't normally. That's a pretty sloppy on the nose line. Like, where are you? Like, she could have said something like, "What are you doing?" or like something a little more generic, because that line to me is like kind of a cliche of like, you know, what you'd say to someone or whatever. Fair play to them for that scene though. They made the beast with two backs very well. My favorite euphemism. And as I say, if those three wanted to do the same scene today, I'd be signed up. I'd be into it. I'd be up for it.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think
well, we'll move on. Yeah. Let me go. So then after that, oh yeah, this is interesting because we talked about American Psycho. Donald Trump rears his fucking ugly head
again.
Yeah, this is kind of my problem now. That scene visually, because Trump, what is someone called Trump's apartment? Bath Party Chic, which was that is kind of an obscure. That was like Saddam Hussein Chic could be kind of the same thing. It's literally filmed in Donald Trump's gold-plated New York apartment, which is insanely amazing, not in a bad way. I don't think it suits Craig T. Nelson's character. I have to be fair. Am I glad they filmed the scene there? Yeah. Does it fit with who that guy is? No. He doesn't seem like...
He's not as...
Like, whatever Trump is, this guy is not... It's not like he's not that bad or whatever.
Yeah, but like,
that.
I mean, you look at the type of... Like, I mean, obviously, Trump is a very bombastic, fucking... larger-than-life type character, whereas Craig T. Nelson isn't. But you could definitely see them running in the same circles.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Oh, they know each other and tolerate each other. Like, I was going to make a very, very controversial reference to a billionaire who hanged himself, but I won't. But yeah, they move in the same circles, but it doesn't quite suit him. But like, who gives a fuck? Like, you just look at... If the film had been perfect up to that point, I'd be making a stronger thing of it. But as it is, I'm like, why not? Again, the visually, no notes. Apparently it was, again, just to talk about the physical production, it was very difficult to film there. It's on like the 32nd floor. You have to go up in a lift with all that fucking 1997 making of film equipment. You know, we're talking reams of film magazines, huge cameras, all this. It'd still be a big job now, but like, it was no fucking joke. But as a document of that cunt's fucking apartment, it's amazing. As where that character would live, I'm not so sure. But again, I can't really get too angry. It's not a general flaw of the film. Like, most of the time, like, Milton's office suits him perfectly. It'd be hard to say no to that. But I was like, that doesn't seem to quite match the same. They would have had to get a different actor. And like, Nelson is very good. Actually, he does seem like he has that air of respectability, which is why that apartment doesn't quite suit him.
I know what you mean.
Yeah. He plays the rest of it kind of perfectly, though.
Yeah. The thing about this scene, though, production design aside, is I found it weird, and it definitely did pull me kind of out of it for a second, is when Keanu Reeves can't understand how he touched the wall, touch the wall with the right hand, and he has to get down and demonstrate.
They make a big deal out of that.
Is that just so he can pull out the gun?
I think so, yeah.
Because there's no way, because as he's explaining what happened, and Keanu Reeves is like, how did you touch with this? And I'm like, I can visualise that. But so he pulls out the gun and then demonstrates it. Yeah. But surely that's just so you can introduce the gun.
The way Reeves played it made it seem like there was like a weird inconsistency in the story, or he was telling him something implausible. And I don't know whether that's a performance thing or the director should have caught it, but he could have played it more like, how did that happen? Yeah. But he plays like, how did that happen?
Yeah.
And you're like, I kept expecting the scene to take a turn where I was like, oh, I see. But I think it is just to get that gun out. So I think essentially it was kind of a misplayed.
Because obviously, as we'll continue, the gun makes another appearance. We need a feasible way as to where he got it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, they could have put in a scene where he just goes to a gun store, like, or something, but it wouldn't have worked as well, like, do you know what I mean?
Chekhov's gun, or Pacino could have had one, and it comes in later, folks. So
we'll get to it.
Yeah. So there's quite a good scene where Keanu Reeves' mother, who's a real Bible basher, comes, and there's an awkward scene where Pacino shows up with Connie Nielsen, this other fantastically good-looking one, who's clearly going to have what the French would call a house of three with. Even though, well, spoiler alert, but Connie Nielsen's his daughter. Maybe he's just going to watch, which isn't that sick. Who knows? I won't go into what I would do in that situation, but it's quite well played, like, because he's so incongruous with Keanu Reeves' mother, and he obviously is kind of enjoying making her uncomfortable in the lift. And it's just an interesting scene of how, because she's more of a contemporary age-wise of Pacino, but there's this real, like, just, you know, like, she maybe would feel like kind of inferior to him because he's this big city guy. He's being super nice. And obviously you can kind of sense there's kind of a history there, which comes into it later. Just a nice kind of interpersonal scene, works very well. Again, setting up seeds for later. But I just thought there was a lot of dramatic kind of meat in the bone happening.
See, because that's it, like, just what you said there, setting up seeds for later. A lot of this film, as it's incrementally building towards a climax, and a lot of it is seed dropping. You know what I mean? Because a lot of stuff comes back into play.
It's, you know, you can't say it doesn't set things up or that things come and go out of nowhere. Like it's you know, professionally made by professional. Like Tony Gilroy, again, I find him a little, I heard an interview with him once, I think, about Michael Clayton, that kind of turned me off him. His brother Dan, who directed Nightcrawler, seems like a cool guy, so I'll take that. I could be, it's just a fucking interview, maybe he was in a bad mood. But like as a professional, like in terms of X, Y, and Z of the plot, no notes, like it's well done. So the next day, so Keanu Reeves declines to join Pacino and the two ladies, but the next day he finds out there's problems with the case, you know, blah, 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 blah. So
it's the newspaper.
The newspaper thing, with newspapers are these things that used to give you the news on paper. So, you know, again, they're keeping the plot running in the background. We're introduced to this assistant character, to the Craig T. Nelson's character, who's going to come back later on. And he sees some legal shenanigans. So Jeffrey Jones is in. This now is a plot thread. I was just congratulating them all. Doesn't seem to have any real purpose to it. There's something like the firm's being investigated, so they're shredding these documents, and Jeffrey Jones is being all sweaty and like kind of evasive about it, and he seems nervous about it, and there's a guy called Weaver who's mentioned, and it goes somewhere, but I don't know that it adds anything to the plot,
to the overall plot. To
be fair now, as again he was typecast and he's kind of entertaining the part, I don't know that there was any purpose to Jeffrey Jones's character at all. Like, I don't, there's some nice kind of interplay of like he's the jealous kind of spurned lover type, you know, like he thought he was Pacino's golden boy and all this, but I, like, when I was kind of going over it, I was like, what is this, what is he in here for, like, what is it? Might touch on that more because they have that monologue when he's kind of murdered. Now this is the scene that we were talking about earlier, the subway scene. I mentioned this film to someone in work this week, and I was like, have you seen it? And they go, is that the one with the subway scene? I was like, yeah.
Like, so this is the one, like, obviously, because as I mentioned at the start, like, I've seen loads of clips and everything of this online, and this is the one that always comes back up. It's the one where they're on the subway. Because this is, I think, in terms of everybody in the scene, from the side characters who pull out the Stanley knife, box cutter, and threaten him, to Al Pacino and how he's playing it. Do you know what I mean? It's just, it's almost, I'd almost say that, because obviously it gives us a deeper insight into, it's the first time we see, actually, hang on, no, this fella is,
there's something super, it has to be,
because he's explaining what's, to those who don't know, he's explaining he's looking at a character on the subway who feels threatened, pulls out a Stanley knife and threatens Pacino. And one thing to point out is, what in God's green earth is Keanu Reeves doing when he says, quick, go, and he nestles into because he doesn't move him. Do you know what I mean? So you have Pacino standing there, right? And then Keanu Reeves puts his arm around him and buries his head in the shoulder as if he's giving him, he's just heard some really bad news.
He was covering his carotid artery.
Oh my God, like I don't know who told him to do it that way, or if it was just left, he was left to his own devices. But you weren't protecting anybody. Do you know what I mean?
I hadn't even noticed, but you're probably right.
Oh, stop, man. It's so funny. I'll clip it in, but it's so funny because he does. It's just hilarious. And then obviously, we see that Pacino can potentially speak another language.
Yeah,
and he speaks to him.
Again, on the commentary tab, like, and this guy speaks perfect Puerto Rican Spanish. And I was like, would you bet your life on that, Taylor? Or would you? Yeah, because I could actually tell, like, it is a very good scene, don't get me wrong. And it works. And it's again, riding that line of, this can't be really, he can't actually know this, but he's just saying words at the same time. He is dubbing himself over. My guess is he was like, oh man, I didn't really hit the Spanish too well there. Like, so maybe a Puerto Rican Spanish speaker maybe could tell me, but
so basically what Pacino's doing is he's explaining what's happening right now at the guy's apartment. His wife is about to get F'd
in the A.
F'd in the A, yeah. F'd in the A by the Carlos or whatever it is that lives up above.
Friend, they're smoking
and they're smoking crack as we speak, and she's going to love it when she gets F'd in the A.
Yeah.
So obviously, Keanu Reeves doesn't know what Pacino is saying, and he's like, what did you say to him? And then Pacino goes, I told him you were going to kick his ass and all this. And so obviously he leaves. But so that's the first time as an audience we're like, okay, this is it. Okay, because we've seen the kind of demonic stuff, but we also have seen maybe Marianne is...
Well, it's great because he's taken such glee in it. Yeah. Like, he's so... He loves it. This is fucking
He loves it, and because he loves it, I love it.
Yeah, and he goes into that, he's going to fuck her in the ass, and they're smoking crack, bro, and it's... Get like, that is... He's enjoying himself, so we're enjoying it, and it's... I don't think the film cuts loose enough like that. I think that's why.
But see, that's the thing. Like I was saying, the scenes where he does cut loose. Do you know what I mean? Like, because even at after the two guys get off the subway and Pacino says what he was saying to the guys. He walks off. Oh, look, somebody's just left our seat. But he does this off camera. So I think that's just Pacino in the moment, like, hey, there's a seat.
He's very exuberant. And like, he does let loose in other scenes, but that's the only scene where from beginning to end it's just kind of fun. Like, it's just kind of for the crack of it. Like, you're like, fucking, why not? Like, this is a little side quest, to put it in video game terms. Like, whereas other scenes where he cuts loose, it does seem to be kind of like they're trying to get at the themes of the film, whereas this is just better because it's just kind of a throwaway. Like, fun, as far as I know, there's nothing in the scene that means you couldn't cut it out. But it's again like the scene that someone does, like, it just adds a bit
because obviously as the film progresses, you're kind of in the mode, and mentally as an audience member you're kind of like, okay, right, you're almost kind of trying to figure out what exactly is going on, whereas this is just a bit of crack, and it's a bit of crack that explains to you, okay, so what I thought was true, it
is perfect in a way because it's obviously supernatural, but it's not demons or it's not something kind of wacky or fucking like. That's why I didn't like the scene with where you see the gargoyle face on your one when they're changing clothes. Two on the note. This is like, well, like, it's not implausible somehow that he knew that. Like, it can be something else, but it's just pushed it over that line where you're like, it was just perfectly judged. It was just very, very nice scene. Again, it's one of the, I would say it's probably the most famous scene.
I think so as well, because I mean, it's the scene I'd seen. Without having seen the film, it was the scene I'd seen.
I guess the only other scene that would come to mind maybe is the final scene,
monologue.
But we'll get to that. I think this is the most famous scene, and justifiably so. Like, it's
just fun.
The way he just revels it. Like,
because you're looking at his smile on his face and everything else. You can't help but smile looking at it, because what he's saying, and I think, you know what works as well, it's the fact that he's saying it in Spanish. And unless you're a Spanish speaker, which I am, you don't technically, you see the subtitles, but you don't know what he's saying. Now, if he was saying she's at home smoking crack and he's gonna fuck her in the ass in English, it wouldn't. It's kind of like,
well, it is again like, it's more me being like kind of a dick, and like the earlier thing with Cantonese where I'm like, I know how difficult that is. There's no way Al Pacino. But like when I would have seen that back in 98 or 9, I would have seen this on. I never saw this. I never rented this, I don't think. So I would have seen this on TV. I would have just assumed, he's speaking a grand. Sure. Even the Cantonese would have been like, oh yeah, sure, why not? It's just words coming out of his mouth. So when you're a little younger and more, I suppose, naive about these things, it's easier to buy into the kind of omnipotence of the character. But again, he just pulls it off anyway. It's fucking like, it doesn't bother me that his Cantonese is obviously shit. It's Al Pacino and he's having a great time.
Yeah,
you cut the guy a bit of slack. Like, he's had a pretty solid career. So after that, yes, a scene that many married men might recognize. I'm just going to go out for one, darling, but it turns into something slightly more debauched than all that. And I think, again, the only thing to add here is it's, again, just ebbing away at the Keanu Reeves, Charlize Theron thing. It's a very realistic scene. Yeah. It's very psychologically believable and it's very selfish. His wife is clearly having mental health problems at this time, and he's like, oh, look, I want to stay out. Like, fuck it. Like, very realistically selfish, basically. And then the only other thing to add is Al Pacino gets blown under the table by someone while making eye contact with Keanu Reeves.
Because I think that, but that's again
I had last night, funny enough.
Because, but see, again, this just adds to he's seducing him with that, because you get the feeling then, because of how Kevin Lomax is acting, that's what he wants. He wants to be at the head of the table and to be able to just go.
Well, it's pure fucking like. Isn't it great to be the king kind of thing? Like, he just enjoys, like, those are the kind of fun kind of, it's just kind of outrageous that'd be happening. And it's actually, I don't know that I'd necessarily go for it myself, but you're like, the idea of being a guy so fucking powerful that you have this kind of stuff at your fingertips, it's kind of something that psychologically appeals to people. I think we should maybe add at this point that we're two straight white men, and maybe women watching this would be like, that is the most depraved thing I've ever seen. Yeah. What is wrong with you? Maybe there is. Maybe there is something wrong with it.
Yeah.
But being honest, I'm like, I look at that, and even if it's not something I'd necessarily be into myself, I'm like, well, yeah, everyone kind of imagines being the fucking king. Like, apparently it's based on some bullshit study, but like the whole alpha male thing, like, psychologically what it is, even if it's not technically a real thing. And who better to play it than Al Pacino?
Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean?
100%.
So there's a scene after that where Theron, this is where she has a complete psychological break, and fairly creepy scene, to be fair is fair. She thinks someone's in the house. She sees a child alone in a room. So it's pretty obviously a nightmare, to be fair. This is
because she wakes up. She wakes up. This is actually weird now that I think about it.
Yeah,
she wakes up
in a weird way,
because she wakes up and then she walks out, but then it goes back. She wakes up and she sees herself walking out.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like, I give a point, and again,
but that's where you go. It's the disconnect of it. Is it a nightmare or is it?
Yeah, that's actually this is one of the more successful kind of hallucination scenes in it, I would say, because it is believably not quite clear. Like, is it? It doesn't have to literally be happening. Like, it goes.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
And I will say, I remember it was I can't even remember. It was one of Kevin Smith's mates' podcast, but the guy he said once, there's nothing creepier than a kid being where they're not supposed to be. And that kid is just sitting in the middle of, and it reminded me actually the other night, my young one, I just kind of heard these random noises from outside. It was middle of the night, and then all of a sudden the door opens and my young one walks in, and I was like, oh, like, it wasn't like scary, but it was weird and kind of like, it was kind of eerie, because it's like a child, it's kind of hard to explain. Even my own child, obviously I know the way she moves, but you're so used to seeing a full-grown human body move in a certain way that it kind of puts it in the uncanny valley when a child is moving, like, because she woke up and she was scared and she was like very determined to come into the room. There was something weirdly eerie about this kind of slightly adult kind of style of body movement in a child-sized frame, Yeah. Like, there's something kind of uncanny about it, and I was thinking of that when I saw this scene. Like, it was pretty. It was pretty effective. Yeah,
because you see her enter the room and she sees. I wouldn't go as far as say it was a baby, maybe a toddler.
Yeah, in the commentary he calls it a baby. And
it's not a baby, because but it's like it's that typical Hollywood thing where you're in a delivery room and then a baby comes out, but it's clearly 18 months old. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because your man has a full bleeding
vocal and everything. Quite long hair, actually.
And then obviously the child is playing with what look like entrails
Yeah, I did wonder how they did that. They obviously just did it, you know. They put them there. There might have been some editing for some of because I think some other stuff appear in the room that you wouldn't want to subject a child to. But and I should say as well, like, as much as I said maybe she could have swapped roles, Charlize Theron is a fucking really good actress.
Yeah,
like,
she's brilliant in this.
This
was really a breakout role.
Yeah, she was only 21 or something. I heard something. I heard some kind of thing you do about she had visa troubles or something. She said Africa, and I don't know. She's really good, and I remember being impressed with her a year or two later because she's obviously like one of the best looking women ever. There was it's not actually that bad, Ben Affleck film. It's called Deception here, or Reindeer Games, and she plays someone in it who, it's kind of hard to explain, but there's a moment in it where she's talking to someone and she's like, I don't know if you ignored me like because of my hair, because she had kind of died, and like Charlize Theron, one of the best looking women in the world, and you kind of, in that moment, you were like, I kind of believe she would think that guy wouldn't think she's good enough. And in Mad Max Fury Road, I mean, I'm sorry, Ben Shapiro, but that film works because she is amazing. She is it's the same thing with Liam Neeson in Taken. You put a brilliant actor who happens to be good at the physical stuff, which is important, in an action role, and she is fucking brilliant, like, and she is really great. Like, she just looks like someone who's lost their fucking mind. Like, it's completely.
It's such a strong performance, like, you believe it, because I mean, obviously it's very well directed and very well written throughout the whole film of the descent into the kind of madness. But it also requires a good actor to be able to pull it off and make it feel real. Do you know what I mean?
I do often wonder, like, how, because you know, you and I have both worked on like kind of student stuff and all this, and you get some people who are pretty good and some people who are not, but some of it is just luck. Like, you're just like. And now he fought for him, but like, to take Al Pacino, and like Francis Ford Coppola would have just been like, well, he seems like the right guy, and then just coincidentally he happened to be 10 out of 10 one of the best ever at playing a shy, retiring kind of a Michael Corleone, and then you found the one guy in human history who was also completely 12 out of 10 convincing as a guy who can walk in a room and absolutely chill the room and make everyone be like, whoa, 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 be on your best behavior. And like, the film, that's a huge part of why The Godfather is so successful, is Pacino. And you're just basically, as a director or writer, putting all your fucking eggs in that basket nearly good. Like, Keanu Reeves is totally fine in this film, but the film would be probably 2 stars out of 10 better if it were somebody who was just, sorry Keanu, but like someone who's just naturally amazing. Like, presumably there's some actor in the lab somewhere that would have been absolutely perfect in this, but Charlize Theron is essentially that good.
Oh yeah, she's brilliant.
She that part of the film is, I would say, completely successful. The breakdown of the marriage, definitely. And her psychological breakdown. And
like, as it continues, then it's the next day, and we see Keanu's character holding the night dress and say, "There's no blood. It was obviously a nightmare." Yeah,
he's the practical one, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And he doesn't. Kevin does not want to believe that there's anything up. He wants to think everything is perfect. So
he's concentrating on work.
Exactly. Yeah, because it gets to the point here where she's like, "No, we have to go home," and even his mother is saying, "I'm going to take her home if you let me." Or his mother's actually leaving, is it?
His mother tries to leave and he won't, and even it was kind of hinted at the start that his wife and the mother don't have a great relationship, but that is again quite clever. Like, they kind of seem to come together a bit in opposition to the way he's going, and he just rejects that. Yeah, which again, solid stuff. You know, very well dramatized. And then we kind of get into, I believe there's a scene where it's Pacino, and Pacino is again, like, all this stuff is there. Again, I just kind of have a feeling if Keanu Reeves were more of an innocent straight off, and it was more of a descent, these things would work better. But there's a scene where it's completely there that Pacino is like, you know, if you want, you could walk away. Yeah. And Reeves
we don't understand it.
Yeah. And Reeves chooses not to. And he I think his line is, I'm afraid that if I quit and she gets better, I'll hate her for it, which is pretty dynamite dialogue.
Yeah, it's very good.
But like, that's very psychologically believable that a person, it's not to say that that's true. What's true is that's what someone would say to rationalize a bad decision to themselves.
Exactly, yeah. See, because, and again, this is one of them seeds where it's seed dropping for further on, because we need Pacino to be able to say, well, I gave you all the options.
Yeah,
you know
it's all, to be fair, as much as I kind of harp on about film, like, it's from a meat and potatoes point of view, it's all there.
Yeah.
And then we go into, there's a few kind of, again, they give a lot of time over to the legal stuff in this, and it is pretty successful in those terms of, there's motive given. The developer guy, he didn't reveal something that, you know, his wife would have gotten all of his money, and he was apparently having it off with a bunch of people and all this. He seemed
the
like
maid,
the guy
or,
be having,
not the maid, his assistant.
Yeah.
So that's where the thing comes in again, is this is kind of the part where we start to learn that Keanu's starting to believe that, because he interviews the assistant.
The film does a good job of making you think this guy is innocent.
Yeah.
To be fair.
But then it turns out
it's all played. It turns out it's all bullshit.
It turns out it's all bullshit, and he killed his family and everything else, right? And then, but Keanu finds this out through interviewing the assistant.
Yeah.
Because she can't tell him if he's circumcised or not.
Yeah. So and again, that's it. That's a very good scene.
Oh, brilliant!
The way they do it, and it's very believable. Like, he just seemed to say it to be fucking with her, because she's kind of giving him, you're like, oh, we have to be fucking doing this, and he just by accident discovers this, and he's like, oh, and it was,
and then he has the big moral question to ask himself: is I know you are guilty? Can I defend you?
Yeah. It's an interesting, because I often have to explain, just so everyone knows I'm an English teacher, and it's often. It's a class that I do, is like, there's a difference between ethics and morals. So ethics, again, I'm very open. Check the fucking comment. Actually, that's he's being completely ethical with, in terms of being a lawyer. His job in the system is to protect this guy, but morally is when you look in the mirror. And it is like the law firm, or the law kind of a thing, is the perfect place to play that out, where it's like, you can completely justify it to yourself, but you know it's wrong, and it's kind of the perfect moral. I remember I was struck once by a comment Willem Dafoe made about, why do you play so many cops, or why do you do this? And I believe he referenced lawyers in it. He said they're the kind of knights, in terms of, not knights as in nighttime, as in like the mythical figures of our time. Like the police officer who does the right thing, the lawyer who wrestles with his conscience in the courtroom. And they are modern day kind of morality tales or archetypes, these kind of characters. So it's a very clever way to do it. Obviously, this is based on that book by Andrew Niederman, but it's apparently very, very changed from it. But it's still the same basic premise. But it is a great avenue to investigate these questions, because there's always an out. There's always, I'm supposed to. So after we kind of learned that Craig T. Nelson is kind of in fact guilty, and Keanu is continuing to try the case, or he's There's that other scene on the subway with Pacino, who again is like, well, if that's what you think, can't win them all. And again, just putting the ball back into his court. Yeah, they make no bones about it. Like, Reeves chooses to go against it. It's not like his hand is forced. He doesn't even seem to really wrestle with it. Like, which again, I'll give it credit for, you know. But see, again, even though, because he is, I suppose you're dead right, because if he had been more innocent at the start, that would have been so much more powerful. Because it's not a million miles away from what he does at the start. He does essentially make kind of the same choice. Yeah, that is, but like, how do you start off the film then? Apparently, just apropos of nothing in the book, instead of like a creepy dude, he was defending, like, it was the early 90s, he was defending a lesbian school teacher who it turned out was guilty, and apparently even in the 90s that was too controversial for everybody. But yeah, again, it is just that thing of, well, what's the fall from grace if he's just kind of make it? Now, granted, it's a triple homicide as opposed to, but like, even like, if anyone is very young watching this, in the 1990s, child molestation was as equally as evil back then as it is now. It's not like even morally they're too incongruent with each other. So I get it, but then it would have been more cliched if it started off that way. But then it's like, well, maybe the cliche is there for a reason. Like, it has to be a real fall from grace. Whereas it's not. It doesn't. Maybe the attempt is to try and make it seem like it's a massive fall from grace, but again, like, it is kind of just the same decision. It is interesting that he's kind of a prick the whole way through. Like, again, and that's not the Hollywood way of doing it. Or like, the real Hollywood way would be his wife kind of goes like, we need the money, you gotta win, even though I'm going crazy. Like, okay, well, I make the wrong decision for the right choice. Sorry, I'll make the wrong decision for the right reasons. But credit to him, he just is kind of a prick and he doesn't do it. He just kind of decides, nah, that ain't me. And he goes in and he kind of helps himself for it. Again, they have a nice kind of clever courtroom scene where it's about how street smart and clever he is. He decides to go in and go, I know this guy's a prick, but that doesn't mean he murdered anyone.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
Because that's it. Like, cause when he goes in and he's saying to them, I don't like this man.
Yep.
He's this, he's everything. Like, do you know what I mean? And again, even for someone who's a lay person who doesn't know a lot about the law, that's, you can understand what he's doing.
Yeah, it's not so simplistic that it seems unbelievable, but it's not technical.
It's not technical jargon, and it's just saying, because everybody's done that. Like,
like everyone.
I don't like this man, which means when I tell you that he didn't do it, you believe me.
Yeah, it's I think in a way, obviously now we kind of indulge in art for other reasons, but always in movies, that's the smart way to do it. I think there's been a few films that I think can do things in different ways, but like, of course, these are written by creative people, so they are like, well, I'm not going to sit down and read fucking a technical law book about this, but like, it's always the lawyer who can read the other person or can sniff things out. It's always the cop who's like, why did he do it?
Yeah.
Why did he do it? Whereas in real life, as far as I know they have the psychological department of it. It's like, in real life, it's like, whose fingerprints are... like, I think most police officers, as far as I know, are not particularly esoteric people.
Yeah.
Who are, like, oh, is he quoting... he's reading from scripture to us here. He's doing this. But in art, like, we're questioning why we behave in certain ways. So that's the more appropriate way to do it, is to be clever with it. And again, it comes down to here a moral choice. Ultimately, is he just going to put her on the stand even though he's going to lie? He's told he doesn't have to. And he does. Yeah. And that's the kind of final nail in his coffin, I think.
It is, definitely, because obviously in the scenes after this, but when you kind of know that the decision has been made, he's going to go for it. He runs into Eddie Barzoon on a run.
Yes, sorry. Yeah, that's in between.
Yeah. So basically what's happening here is he's made kind of this decision. And...
yeah, this is a scene I don't like and I don't think works. So the Eddie Barzoon, he's very jealous and he's like...
because he's been made partner. What's happened is Keanu Reeves, having not really tried a case...
he's unknowingly made partner. He doesn't even know about it.
Yeah, he doesn't know.
They don't really bring it up again.
No, it's never mentioned.
Yeah.
But it's just, it's to create the conflict. Do you know what I mean? Because you can tell that Eddie Barzoon does not like Kevin Lomax. The whole time, but now he has a real reason, because he threatens him and everything else, and it's obviously brought up about the shredding paper. And
do you know what, it might have been better, because again, I find the Eddie Barzoon character kind of unnecessary. If as Taylor Hackford would say, the black actor who was he was friendlier with him at the start, if somehow they'd have worked it in that he was the one who became more and more jealous of him and became...
That worked better.
Yeah, because the whole Eddie Barzoon getting murdered scene, because it's intercut with that monologue of Pacino, and I find the monologue essentially incoherent, and I'm like, I don't know what he's talking about. He's talking about Eddie Barzoon as like an avatar of everything that's wrong in the world. Yeah. And I'm like, well, like, he's just this kind of sweaty middle management office type. Like, what are you on about? Like, the visuals of it did not match with the monologuing of Pacino. Like,
I know what you mean.
Well, he does all this.
There's a lot of attempts. There's a lot of attempts, though, in terms of the visuals of the symbolism and stuff, like, and I read things like the colours used on the runners that the tree that are chasing.
Okay. And
the guy, and there's one runner that runs into him in a blue top. They're the colours of the four horsemen. Red, white, pale, and the fourth one is eluding me. But apparently that's what was something that was going for. And the way that they appeared and reappeared and stuff, like...
yeah, I mean, as a piece of filmmaking, the scene is fine, but I do just go, I don't know what Pacino was really talking about in real life. And Eddie Barzoon was not a strong enough character that I'm like, oh yeah, he's kind of representative of all. I just don't see it.
Do you know what I suppose almost, I wouldn't say didn't work, but I did find myself surprised that. So obviously the scene is, obviously the monologue is happening. He's just had this altercation with Kevin Lomax and he's gone off running through Central Park. So you see the runners and the joggers bouncing off him, and he's looking around and they've disappeared. And then he looks across the way and then they're running, but they disappear, and he starts getting really worked up and freaked out. So this keeps happening, and it's kind of this tension and the music is forcing you to kind of become more and more anxious and more tense. And then all of a sudden, all the joggers disappear and two homeless men pop out from behind a tree and say, give me your watch.
It's kind of random.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas what could have happened is, it could have been stronger if we didn't see him being killed, and we just know that he's died, but all this supernatural stuff has gone on around him.
As I say, physically, or however it's filmed, the scene is strong enough that it could have just ended on a kind of an
with him running out, and then we hear, oh, he's dead.
Yeah,
which is what happens in the next scene.
Very true. Yeah, but Connie Nielsen seems very upset about it.
Yeah, but the thing is about it,
she's faking it, like,
because after seeing everything, like, and especially reading about how an attempt at depicting the four horsemen of the apocalypse and stuff, and for two homeless fellas to just pop out and hit him with a branch.
Yeah.
It's not even like a weapon, like they pick up a branch, like
like a Tonya Harding kind of. My main issue is just I don't know what I assume they were getting. It just was a few rewrites away from working or a rethink of like who that character should be and so on and so forth. But as a bit of filmmaking and so on, like I say, the details of it's the four horsemen and all that, pretty good. And we go from that to because Charlize Theron seems to sense that that's happening at the same time, which again
we brought up earlier on. Every time something supernatural is happening in this film, it's cut together with Charlize Theron or Mary Ann having a visceral experience. It's not quite said what that experience is, but you see her, she's looking out the apartment window and she feels it as they're smacking them with the branch. She feels it.
And that, if I'm not mistaken, triggers like her final complete mental collapse. And Keanu Reeves decides to lie or to be dishonest. He gets the person off. He makes that final decision, and then actually this may be the most famous scene in the film. I think maybe the subway. He goes to the church and finds Charlize Theron there. One of the reasons it's famous is you get to see Charlize Theron, famously beautiful woman, naked. In fairness to the film, I know men will find that kind of pleasure anywhere, and probably some women as well. It is just successful in its own terms. Like it's an upsetting scene, and she's obviously very upset. And
especially the subject matter, what she's trying to explain that like this Milton raped me.
The Al Pacino character.
And the thing is, because you're at this point, and so we obviously know that there's something supernatural going on, right? And that Pacino is a bad actor. Do you know what I mean? But at this point, you're still like, well, did he? Or is it all in your head? Yeah. Then what happens is after Keanu denying her, like, that didn't happen. I was with him. I saw him. And then she stands up and obviously
she had clothes on her, I think.
Yeah, and she's scraped up and everything. So obviously that's real. So what happened? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's good. It's good stuff. Like they do stuff like that quite. Stuff like that quite
in
well.
terms of kind of pacing and stuff. From here, we're kind of into the final throws. Like so,
we're getting to
the nitty gritty of it. Like and where all the seeds that they've dropped throughout, I think very successfully are kind of brought back up. We're not quite there yet, but.
Yeah, it's so she gets committed after that, if I'm not mistaken, and after that is the funeral scene, which is the most featured in the trailers and so on. So there's a big funeral for Eddie Barzoon, and it's all very, again, kind of successful, showing the high society, and no one actually gives a fuck about someone being dead. They're not upset. Look who looks good. Look who's all this. He sees the developer guy who's clearly banging. I had just assumed it was actually his daughter, but apparently there's dialogue that says it's his stepdaughter, which, to be fair, is kind of like it makes him a worse guy if it's his daughter. I guess I don't, not that I. But
he's not that bad.
Not that I'm fucking hounding for that to be a fucking film or anything. But Keanu Reeves gets upset. He just is like, fuck this, I'm out. No, he hallucinates something, doesn't he? He sees the school teacher from the start of the film as Craig T. Nelson. And he just kind of freaks out and leaving. This is the scene where Al Pacino's having a ball, like looking.
It's unbelievable. He's looking at the camera and he's looking at Jesus and Michael.
He puts his finger in the hole. That, to be fair, that seems to be kind of from a different film. Like that's just Al Pacino.
Because again, it's similar to the subway scene. He's having fun.
He's having crack. Yeah,
because you see, and especially the camera movements. Because it's the first time that we kind of see, like, I think it's like a smash zoom out. Where he looks at the Jesus or whatever on the thing.
Yeah, it's all the to fair in the commentary, Taylor Hackford says like he's among these are like his former brothers and sisters because they very much take just so everyone knows, it's not canonical in the fucking Bible that Satan is a fallen angel. It's purely from Paradise Lost, if I'm not...
Which
I'm saying these names if I know what the fuck I'm talking about. I saw a YouTube video on it once. But, look... That's how we know him.
It's important to point out now that I was waiting to see who'd bring up Paradise Lost first.
Yeah.
So obviously, Paradise Lost is a poem by none other than John Milton, who was Al Pacino's character.
I remember
named
even
after.
at the time when I was a young fella, and I was like, "That's the name of that guy who wrote that religious book."
Because essentially, that's what the film ultimately is: the fall of man. Do you know what I mean? Which is basically what Paradise Lost is.
Yeah.
So I do think it was a nice nod to have the devil
it's not
play
terrible, right?
John, because I don't feel it's too...
It's not that bad,
No, I don't. I'm not offended by it.
It could be worse.
I'm not offended by it.
Like by the way, I've never
they could have went down the route and called him Lucian or something like. Do you know what I mean? That would have been really offensive.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like,
although in Angel Heart, which I think I have the box of that behind you, the other a very famous devil with Robert De Niro as a devil, they have a devil character called Louis Cypher, which is obviously... But that film, again, that had a real great visualist in charge, so they kind of pull off some of... That's a really great film, Angel Heart, if anyone hasn't seen it. But yeah, that scene is good fun.
Yeah.
It's just...
it's just confirming. It's kind of confirming. Right, he sticks his finger in the holy water and starts burning.
Yeah, it can't be anything else.
Yeah, right, we know what you are now. Yeah, if you're not Satan, which it hasn't been overtly said yet, which are definitely a demon of some sort. Like, do you know what I mean?
Oh, there's no question now. Yeah.
No.
The problem then is they follow that up with the scene of some guy we've kind of heard his name, and if we even remember it, going, "Hey, did you know that company or the law firm you're involved..." Sorry, this is a government agent guy who had been mentioned by the Jeffrey Jones character before. Yeah. Follows Reeve out of the church and he's like, "Hey, didn't you know that they're really bad guys?" And I was like, "I've seen this through the whole fucking film. I don't need..." I do not see any point to that scene, frankly.
They could have dropped that.
He's a perfectly good actor. Fair play, the stunt where he's killed is very, very good. But it just, I'm like, I fucking notice, like I've every single time we see anything in that law firm, they're clearly up to no good. Yeah, and it doesn't add on to it. It's not bringing any tension to it. It's
because at the end of the day,
Reeves makes it like if Reeves had somehow ended up killing the guy to silence him, then you could say, well, that's like another step on the road to hell.
I think it's one step too far because you see him dying, and you know that Pacino's character has something to do with it.
I guess, yeah.
But we already know that he's a demon, we don't need to see it.
Then there was a rake of deleted scenes. There's like 40 minutes of deleted scenes on the fucking disc, which for some reason don't have the original audio. They just have a commentary track from your man Hackford on it. It was kind of frustrating. So then after that, he visits Charlize Theron in the hospital, and his mother has arrived. And Charlize Theron, in a very well acted scene, very well staged scene, she kills herself with shattered glass. Again, Reeves, you have this image of him as this laid back kind of dude.
Just before we got to where she kills herself, right? We see one of was she a receptionist or something at the law firm?
Oh, that's right.
And she shows her another. We don't need to see. This is where it gets a bit. Do you know what I mean? We don't need to see. She looks in the mirror. And then she turns into one of them gremlin things.
Yes,
we don't need that. We've seen it 2 or 3 times already.
You could maybe say that could have been a studio.
But like again, the only reason I can see, or if funnily enough, I was to play devil's advocate with it, the reason why it can potentially work is if you look at it from the perspective of, oh, this is from top to bottom, everybody's mortally wrong. Because you can see as she's killing herself, she hit me. And she's just standing there. I
think it was interesting that character
seems very nice.
Who's cast as like kind of a
real mammy.
Innocuous kind of a middle-aged woman, that she would be part of it. I thought that was it, but like, her turn, I'd forgotten about that, and that was like...
So obviously, she hits her, they all end up outside the room.
Yeah. It's very convincingly done, like the way they set it up. Like,
and Charlize Theron is obviously, she's after having another hallucination, but is a hallucination? Probably not.
Yeah.
And she barricades themselves in. She takes a piece of glass, cuts her throat.
Yeah. No, I have to give the film credit. Like
what's key here is your woman standing outside.
Yeah.
So cold.
Creepy. That is
because it turns from a bit of, oh, she hit me, and then it just slowly, and it's in the background. It's not in the forefront of the shot, and she just I don't know if this was a piece of direction or if she just decided to do it.
It was nicely, they didn't have her kind of fucking twirling her mustache or
no,
whatever.
She just stops and she just coldly stared and like.
And it's there, and to the credit of the film, it's kind of a moment you need for plot wise. Like if she's still around, Keanu Reeves won't go to Pacino's apartment at the final showdown with him. It never seems contrived. I have a real now. I don't have it from a political point of view, but from like when you see people with mental health problems or mental illnesses in films, it's often like, you know, oh, he's non-verbal. Frogs. Oh, frogs, and it solves a fucking crime, or you know, it just seems like something she would have done. It's because they layered it in all throughout the film, and Charlize Theron really nails it. It just seems like that seems believable. It doesn't seem like it's just. And
then my only kind of, because as we say, Keanu's pretty good in this film.
Yeah.
But so obviously he gets into the room and he tries to, and then the nurse tells him to get out of the way. And then the next shot is the nurse over him. But when I tell you, Keanu is so close to her shoulder, like he's on her.
And the blocking of it,
but his performance in that, it's very.
Maybe I was being a bit charitable to him, but I remember being impressed with him, and I was like, yeah, he's actually, because again,
I don't know. I kind of go just cut there, I'm finished.
It might have been a bit over it, but now to be fair, I am a little bit older than you, and I've seen him in it. Like if you'd seen him in, you probably might have seen the film, but Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula.
Oh yeah.
The depths of what can happen when you put that man in the wrong part. Like he genuinely and maybe I'm naive, he genuinely seems like a great guy, and he's been in fucking great films, and he's been great in films. Like he is great as Neo. Like he's just great. I thought he was pretty good.
He's great in it. I love his performance.
Even that scene.
It just seemed a bit.
I thought he did pretty well.
I just thought it was someone who doesn't know how to act like that, acting like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I get you. I'd have to rewatch it. When I watched it again,
because I found it quite comical. It's the performance.
He went for it.
It's such a hard scene.
Like. Yeah, he went for it. I might have been being slightly more generous than I would be with someone else, but my take on it was he was fine, but I remember he went for it. Fair play. He didn't leave it in the dressing room.
He left it all on the floor. Like, you know what I mean? But so obviously then they
do have that eerie scene of when he walks out
of the thing. That's what I was going to say. Yeah, so he leaves and the woman is standing there.
Yeah,
waiting for him
again, and they actually empty.
And explains, you look so frightened. Don't worry, and this is when you're really coming onto something, because you're like, don't worry, he'll take away all your fear.
Yeah,
something along those lines.
So that's kind of the problem. Is I think the line you could nearly guess it yourself. Yeah. You know, it's a little on the nose. We'll say that's a good scene. The empty,
because he walks out and then he looks and the street's empty.
Yeah,
there's nothing.
I will say as well, because we talked about some of the shite CGI in this. When I was watching the trailer for this, that scene of him on the empty streets is in the trailer. You can actually see the shadow of the camera on the road.
Okay, yeah.
And I was like, fuck me, I didn't notice that when I watched it. They'd obviously, at the time, we have this idea of CGI was shite except for Jurassic Park. It's seamless. You cannot tell that there was ever anything there. And that is, with all this talk of CGI, that's the kind of fucking stuff that everyone agrees. Yeah, use it for that. Like, we had no fucking time. The sun was just there. We had to have that camera. Take that shit out. Like, we made a mistake, or it was there. Good scene. Yeah.
Yeah, again, definitely. Because and it's a good lead, because it obviously, you know where he's going now. Because she says he's waiting for you.
Ready for the final.
And then here we go. We're into the final. We're going to find out exactly what's going on here.
This is where anyone who likes the film is going to just start throwing fucking darts at me or leaving rude comments about me. This scene is watchable. It's fine. It is okay. It is mediocre.
I think it's... I like the scene. I think it's too long. It's probably about to the point where it's probably about 4 or 5 minutes too long.
Yeah, and on the commentary track, Trail Hackford says you could make an argument that the whole film is a 2-hour lead up to this scene. And if you told me how should a devil film with Al Pacino end, well, him screaming at someone in a big room for 20 minutes at the end, yeah, that sounds about right. Again, I just find. So it's about the loss of Kevin Lomax's soul, right? And then ultimately it's shown so I wanted to bring you over to my side. Now, fuck your half-sister and make the Antichrist. And I was like, that's kind of a bit of a non sequitur, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden, the stakes of it all and like the ultimate goal of it, that stuff to me seemed to kind of come out of nowhere, and I never thought for a second, and this could be, you know, an area where someone other than Keanu...
But you've actually brushed over something there. Okay. It's the fact that we learned very early on that he's actually his father.
Yeah, fuck me, I forgot about it. Yeah, his mother tells him before that scene on the empty road, he's your father.
Now, you tell it, you choose
and that's
now.
Actually, I don't know that it makes as much of an impact as I think the filmmakers wanted that he was his father, but it's, you know, a reasonably dramatic, kind of plausible is maybe not the right word. But it's more fitting to me with the themes of the film or what the film has been up to that point than like I want you to make the because all of a sudden it becomes like that Arnold Schwarzenegger film.
But see, that's the thing. But you know what? It kind of annoyed me, right? In terms of, because now one thing I will say is a lot of the final monologue is Al Pacino freestyle,
and he's having a bit of fun,
and he's freestyle. A lot of that stuff isn't in the script. Some of the stuff that he's saying.
Okay.
So the stuff with like Christabella and Half Sister and Antichrist, that's written down on the page. But a lot of the kind of not tangents, but a lot of the stuff that he goes off and says is not written down.
There's some, like, there were memorable lines in it, like the 20th century, that's all me. I remembered that line. I'd forgotten the bit where he lip syncs to the music, which is what the guy in the interview asked him about, where he kind of didn't.
The Frank Sinatra number,
Like, that's fun, but I was just like, where's the back and forth here, or where's the...
Because you're dead right, because a lot of the final bit is Pacino talking at Kevin. And he does, I have to be honest, there is some interesting things, like, as he's explaining his plan or what he needs, and Keanu will just give a line or say a word, and then, okay, now I can go on to this. He's kind of there to move Pacino along.
Yeah, it's the theory of, I just think it was a few rewrites away.
But actually, sorry. Now this, I'm not big up on biblical scripture. I'm hardly a theologian, like, do you know what I mean? But if he's creating children or having children, are they not already the Antichrist?
Yeah, I never thought of that, but yeah, that would be my.
Why does he need one of his children to create the Antichrist? Maybe it's
because it'd be, I suppose, if I were to be charitable, it's his son and his daughter doing it, so kind of doubles up on it. Something like that. Because I guess I'd imagine the writers would say, well, he has to have sex with regular women, normal human women, and they're not that evil, or something like that. But yeah, it just essentially becomes about, it's not that it becomes a different film, because I think that film is fun, like where Al Pacino's being all crazy and the devil. It just becomes about something else, and I never. It's
weird because it's kind of shoehorning a lot of stuff in.
Yeah, it's stuff that
you have to be honest. The Antichrist stuff doesn't work, because the more I'm sitting even here thinking about it now, because I have to be honest, when watching it, I thought it was a bit what.
It's out of nowhere, like a studio note or something.
But
bigger stakes.
It feels Well, oh no, this is not big enough. This is not. Do you know what I mean? Because the way my brain is just, as I said, I'm not a religious person, but surely if the Antichrist is born from the devil, and apparently he says that from time immemorial he's had many, and you're the only one who's ever gone to this point in the test. Do you know what I mean?
And then that's kind of the problem, is he says you're the only one, and I'm like, does Keanu Reeves in this film seem like the most evil guy?
Yeah, exactly.
Ever lived? Like,
but that's the thing. But one thing that I do like about the film is the grey area, because I think we see evil as, if you kill children, if you kill someone in cold blood, whereas it's not that. It's the decision to. Someone needs your help the L one in the queue needs your help in the shop with our card. You know that, you don't offer it. That's evil.
Yeah, or to be subtler, for whatever reason, I've been thinking about this a lot recently, but you'd be like, oh, look at that fucking prick, and then you're like, well, I did something
exactly
that isn't a million miles away from it. Like, I'd never kill anyone, but you got to kill her off. Like, it's maybe a Catholic kind of upbringing, but like, you kind of go, yeah, I suppose in a way they're morally equivalent. Of course they fucking aren't. So there's meat on the bone of that. But again, I just never for a moment was like, for a second, Keanu Reeves is going to go along with this. He's just going to say no. It never seemed plausible.
You knew as soon as Keanu makes the decision to confront him, you kind of go, well, this is not going to end well for the devil.
Yeah.
So, like, obviously, as the film goes, Al Pacino has this big kind of monologue with some really good lines in it, which I was genuinely surprised to know that a lot of it was improv.
That is, just as a quick notice, that speech I think is kind of a staple of actors' workshops. He's an absentee landlord. It's this or that. Like I remember that line. Yeah, there's a bunch of great lines. That is because a friend of mine, he showed me like a show reel or whatever, and that was that. As far as I know, it's kind of a staple of actors' studios of like see what you can do with this. And like Pacino, I think, again, as much as I'm saying, oh, he's great and he's this, I do kind of see a by rote kind of a thing for him. I don't think he really was that into it, and I just think it is kind of, well, this is kind of fun stuff to say, but it's not really. Like he does seem to be a very serious kind of an actor, and I just don't know that there was anything that he could. It's not that he wasn't interested, just that he could really latch onto, and I think that's why. Anyway, like at the end of this, so just spoiler alert. We'll jump around a bit because at the end of it, when Keanu Reeves does just decide to kill himself, which is a real kind of hokey, dramatic moment, even though it is him killing himself. So I'm going to point that out. The way Pacino goes, no, I was like, he doesn't. Maybe it was because they had to get special effects, or there might have been something involved that was like, no, Al, don't go really crazy. But the way he says no, I was like, he seems like vaguely embarrassed, or so he just didn't seem to really commit to that in a way that there just seemed to be something slightly off. Or again, he maybe didn't have a great relationship with the director. Did I read somewhere that he found Hackford kind of arrogant, or he didn't really get on with him? It might be just on this fucking Wikipedia page. What was I say? In that thing, after he'd just been directed by him and the film was in the cinema, he goes, the director liked it. Yeah. And he does mention like, oh, when I worked with Sidney Lumet. Now, granted, he's one of the all-time greats, but I was still like, you just work with the fucking guy. Like, they maybe didn't get on, or he was like, oh, you just want me to do the Pacino thing. Oh, okay. I don't know. I wasn't there, but there seems to be he doesn't quite do the Don Pacino fucking thing that you might think he would,
Now, obviously, so Chris Bella, after Keanu Reeves kills himself, turns into some sort form of gargoyle type thing.
The problem is, do you ever see From Dusk Till Dawn?
Yeah.
They look exactly like the fucking vampires in that when they and it's very. I will say there is a moment in it, and I know how this will sound, but there's a moment in it that I thought was in just a weird little human touch was kind of perfect, because there's a bit where like he's kind of just about to ride her on like the altar / office desk. And she's very confident, and she's like obviously very comfortable with being the devil's daughter and all this, but she's naked. And there's a bit after he shoots himself when all kind of goes to hell, and she just kind of gets up and she's still like naked, but she's like, ah. And it was interesting to see her go from that completely beautiful, seductive person to someone who's like in a very vulnerable position. It was just like a split second thing, but I found it kind of an interesting little detail.
Yeah, definitely.
They left in, and it was just kind of like,
So obviously, as we were discussing earlier as well, after he shoots himself, the wall starts really kind of
a bit hokey. Like
So it's that's what it originally looked like. Those people were on it throughout.
Yeah, I found some of those like the faces were too clear. Like the faces.
Like, but it kind of represents suffering in hell. Yeah, do you know what I mean? That's what it is. It's trapped souls in the wall in hell.
The idea was okay. It was 1997 to be fair. Like so
obviously then. He wakes up in the bathroom.
This is, and I listened to this on the commentary because I was like, he's going to apologize for this, right? He's going to say, now I know this is the ending of a story you would write in fucking primary school that the teacher told you as a little,
and it was all a dream.
But, and he doesn't even fucking acknowledge it. I was like, mate, come on, you can't fucking end a film like that. But
it does kind of become interesting. So basically what happens is
do a little thing later, but
what happens is he gets a second chance essentially to make the right decision from way back in the film to where he's defending the sex offender.
Yeah.
So he goes in and he chooses not to represent him, and then all this hullabaloo is, oh, do you know what you've done to your career, and you're going to be disbarred and all this, which is fine, it's grand. Charlize Theron doesn't question it, or she questions it a little bit, and then she just goes along with it. But which goes to show us that she's just a supportive wife.
Yeah.
So,
and I do remember it. it was just a successful moment for me when he walked back into the courtroom and she was there, and she's so lovely and gorgeous, and she's playing that kind of like the lovable kind of
the affable kind of.
Yeah, I mean, there's things about it that are successful, but at the same time, I'm just like, you're doing the fucking it was a dream thing. I mean, Jesus Christ. But I think I know what you're going to say with the kind of interest and touch thing.
Yeah, so basically what happens is they're going, they're leaving, and then the guy who's with him in the bathroom from earlier on in the film, the press guy, is explaining, oh no, this is the way we do it now. We're going to completely reframe.
And to be fair as well, you haven't seen that guy for 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Yet you remember him very well.
Yeah.
He's no famous actor or anything, but it was really a fair play.
But so what happens is he then starts explaining, oh, you need to give me the exclusive. We can do big things. CNN, 60 minutes.
To his vanity,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and then obviously he goes, okay, and then you see him walking away, and it should be that moment of, oh no, I've made the right decision now, and I'm going to go off and live happily ever after for the one way. But he stops Keanu Reeves and goes, oh yeah, okay, I'll call you tomorrow. And then obviously what happens is the press guy turns into John Milton, and then we realise that evil holds no bounds.
On this rewatch, I remember again, I kind of can't forgive it for just it's all being a dream, but I was like, okay, the playing to his vanity thing, and like they again just play it straight out, like he's just that guy. He's just an arrogant, vain kind of a guy. And then all my goodwill disappeared when I was like, oh, he turns into fucking Albert, who looks at the motherfucking camera and goes, and granted, I can't get too angry at a film that will end with Al Pacino looking at the camera, smiling and saying, "Vanity is my favorite sin." It's not like I can't see why you'd make that decision, but I was like,
no, I hate the laugh. The laugh after he says that.
I was like,
and then it just ends.
I was like, you can't have the double fucking dip of it was all a dream and that character is someone else. Like, get the fuck
but it's
out.
Not only that. It's not only that. It's kind of change it from a chance of redemption and a second chance to a time loop. You're going to be in this exact same position now in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, like
you're gonna. He's going to have to go into that room.
Like, why is
he's going to have to go?
Off a minute
I know, but he's going to have to go back into that office. That room,
I know,
or maybe it's different now. Maybe it's he goes to the press officers.
Because he doesn't. I wonder, was it some kind of a studio note of like, you know, oh no,
well, Pacino has to come up at the end again.
The killer has to be like, I know the killer's dead, but maybe you see a finger twitch. You know, come on now. It just was fucking lame. I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. But like for me, what killed it towards the end was just I was like, in the big confrontation scene. Some good lines, there's some funny stuff in there, but ultimately the stakes did not work. I was like, maybe if it were a Denzel Washington type, someone with a more of an edge, I'd be like, because I remember actually I'm not a huge Star Wars guy, but I remember the first time when I was kind of older and I watched them all the way through, I remember being surprised at how plausible it was that like Luke might actually go to the dark side. Now obviously I knew he wasn't, sorry. But I remember watching and going, Jesus, actually, I could see at the time people maybe being like, I don't know, because he plays it kind of dark sometimes, and there was never a second when I was like, he's obviously just, he never even seems that tempted by the offer. So I was like, well, why is the scene so fucking long if he's never gonna, or if he doesn't seem to be being convinced? It just, that part, and that you could say that's Keanu Reeves, it could say it's the writing. I don't know. You'd have to, I think, really... I don't even know if studying it like at length would kind of elucidate that, but that was my big problem with it. I was like, I just never believe it. And the whole shooting himself and like, no! And then it's a dream, like, oh, Jesus Christ.
And then all of a sudden you're stuck in Groundhog Day.
Yeah, fucking, you know what I mean? The time will be...
But right, so we'll bring it home, right? Now, obviously, earlier on I mentioned how I'd try and explain the rooftop scene. Okay?
Yes.
So, if you look at New York City as a setting, as hell, modern hell, like greed, lust, corruption. You look at temptation as well, and then you look at kind of the scene on the rooftop or the balcony, whatever it is, and they're looking out over this modern hell. So if you look at it from the concept that the balcony or the rooftop is his throne, it's Lucifer's, Satan's throne, looking out over society, in this case, a modern hell. I think that scene makes so much more sense, and it works if you look at it through that prism. Now, that's a leap, because obviously if you're watching it for the first time, you're not going to make that connection. But if it sticks out to you, which it does because it's very visually striking.
Yeah.
If you look at it through that prism of this is his throne, this is his.
That's interesting. Yeah, it's visually the scene always worked for me. My problem with it is it does tend to happen with. This is why I'm kind of thinking is it that guy Gilroy, because I remember having the same problem with Alexander, Oliver Stone's film, who's a real out there kind of esoteric guy. There's really long dialogue scenes in that where I'm like, what are these fucking guys even talking about? Because it's clearly Oliver Stone's, let's be honest, fairly schizophrenic fucking views on politics or power or whatever. And I'm like, I have not read all the fucking philosophy books you have. Like, where you're coming from with this is not... Like, I mean, frankly, I needed it dumbed down a bit. That's what I think.
Yeah.
And that's Mr. Gilroy. If you feel that's a reflection on my fucking idiocy, you're probably right. But I just can't connect with kind of where he's coming from.
I know what you mean, yeah.
I don't think of... Shit, sorry to everyone watching at home. I hit something. I don't think of things in the same way that he does, and you'd need to explain to me.
I know what you mean.
In more kind of down to earth terms, like what they're going on about, which again is they get very phantasmagorical at the end, where it's like the Antichrist and all this. It just seemed, again, to be out of nowhere for me. But having said that, because we're on the wrap up, we talk every time about the non-submersible units of what makes a film memorable. I think it's fairly straightforward on this one. See if Al Pacino.
Yes.
Al Pacino. Al Pacino's the devil. And, in a large part, for me, what I remembered was the visual setting of New York and how well they use that. That really did stick with me, and I think makes the film very compelling. Like, if it were on TV now, I could see myself watching 50 minutes which isn't, I know that doesn't sound like, it's 2.5 hours. That's a pretty big commitment for any film, let alone like something that I'm like, I don't really love this, but there is something about the physical production of it. I'd be lying now if I said Charlize Theron is excellent, but I don't know that she is what makes it memorable in a way. She helps make it work, and she's perfect in her little part there. Yeah. But I think it is just...
I totally agree with you. Like, so
basically,
it would be... Pacino is fantastic in it. I mean, and sometimes a bit more subdued, but when he's let loose, he is fantastic in it. And some of the writing and some of the improv when he's let loose is just amazing. Like the subway scene, the final monologue.
Be in the
definitely
list.
100%. And I suppose for me as well. Do you know what? Do you know what's memorable? Keanu Reeves' performance. Because we can sit here and talk about Pacino and how great he is.
Do you know,
he's really, because that's something that you come away from.
You'd never forget that he was in it. Yeah. I can't remember on this time. I don't think I'd forgotten Charlize Theron was in it, but she wouldn't be like the first thing I'd talk about with her around. But you would remember Reeves, like visually as well. Like, I mean, I remember I said to this girl I was dating at the time, but when Constantine came out, and I was like, if you look at the way he moves in that, he's really good at that stuff. And this is back when it was kind of fashionable to say he was a shit actor. Yeah. Because I think the Matrix sequence had kind of soured people on him at the time. And I was like, well, yeah, because like everyone just thinks it's how you speak and all this, but like he's a very good looking guy. Yeah. The way he moves and like the way he just looks in the film is very striking, and it certainly helps it. Whether it's I don't know if I'd put him in non-submersible unit territory, but I think you're onto something. Yeah. I wouldn't have an issue with it. Yeah. I mean, and again, I have to say, it's just in terms, I suppose it's not, maybe I'm not fully understanding the non-submersible unit, but just in terms of the film as a whole, in terms of how it builds, how it gradually, because obviously you can have your issues with the final scene and the final kind of, but in terms of what it achieves by building up to that, I think it's really fantastic. Well, in the sense that we're using the nod, so for anyone, if this is your first time, it was something Kubrick would say about, you don't need a fucking from beginning, middle to end, which I know sounds like it's completely contradicting what you said, but in the way we're using it, it doesn't. You don't need all this beginning, middle, and end shot. Like, just you need 6 or 7 non-submersible, which I interpret as meaning you need 6 or 7 things that the audience is like, that's fucking great. Yeah. This is how we're using it anyway. So like the progression of it, that can be something. It's not what I mean when I use it is what sticks in your mind. And like, what do you think about when you think of the film? And it's Pacino, basically. But then, you know, as I say, Reeves, and for me, the physical look of it, very impressive.
Yeah.
What would you give it?
If I was to give it a rating.
Yeah.
See, the thing is, I think we should probably get it said early, right? When we're rating films. Because if we're rating out of 5, right? So obviously you have The Godfather 1 and 2, 5.
Yeah.
But if we're going to do Face Off, to me, that's 4.5. Do you know what I mean? But for what it is. So I think in order to do it fairly, we rate films on what they are rather than having the cream of the crop at 5, because then we'll be doing a lot of 1s and 2s if you're comparing them that way.
Yeah.
So for what this film is, I'd give it a solid 3.
Okay. I'm already breaking the fucking chain here, but I would say it's a 2.5, but an interesting 2.5. Yeah, for everything that works for me, there's something that's like, I don't know what you're going at there. There's stuff that I've issues with. But the film was getting it, and it was trying to be different. And I always have to give films the benefit of that. And the physical look of it is really just brilliant. Like the way the Hollywood craftsmanship in New York City in the 1990s, in the middle with the kind of, not the height of the Hollywood system, because people will always be fucking at me with that. But, you know, in terms of the technical proficiency of this film, sensational. Really, really good. So, a very, as you say, could it even have been a 5 out of 5 film? Yeah. An Al Pacino devil movie, fuck yeah. But is this that movie? Not for me.
Yeah, I get you.
Let's see what
I get you.
So shall we point people towards our social media?
I think that, yeah. So I will link all the social media down below. TikTok, Facebook, all that type of stuff.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, guys.
Yes, and leave a comment. Share the podcast. If you see clips, share them, all that type of stuff. Because from that, you would not believe how much that'll help in the early days. It's just word of mouth.
And can I point out, just so everyone knows, we've a dog here. There's been a dog here the whole time called Tinky. Say hello, Tinky. Who's a great dog.
All right, so all the links will be down below.
Tinky,
right?
maybe
Thanks very much for listening.
I could have lost the sewer. I don't know. Thanks so much, guys. See you next time.